Welcome to Armchair Expert, Experts on Expert. I'm Dan Shepard. I'm joined by Lily Padman.
Hi.
Hi. Today we have Bridget Read on. Bridget is a reporter and features writer at New York Magazine, and she has a new book out now called Little Bosses Everywhere, How the Pyramid Scheme Shaped America. This is all about multi-level marketing.
MLMs, baby.
This was fascinating.
We learned so much.
Yes.
I've been talking about this one a lot.
Yep. And great advice, too, for people within this episode. Please enjoy Bridget Read. We are supported by Audible. Thanks to Audible for being the presenting sponsor of today's episode. We could all use an escape these days, and the best way to do it, Audible. With over 1 million titles in their selection, there's more to imagine with Audible.
He's an armchair expert. He's an armchair expert. He's an armchair expert.
I'm having like allergies, something.
Oh,
so I'm
wonderful.
on Claritin D.
Oh, we
where you
love
have to give your
love-
ID
We love D.
because there's speed in it.
Yeah.
I'm really loving speed, it turns
Just
out.
a little bit of that.
I'm super into speed.
I know.
I know I'm allowed to use them when I'm allowed to use them.
Yeah.
I'd like to use them more.
Well, yeah, but that's...
I never have.
This is your first time on a D?
I think so. Because
Where do you
I'm having
live?
like adult onset allergies. I live in Brooklyn. I live in New York.
Okay.
Well, Aleve D or Zyrtec D. I guess
I heard
Zyrtec
about
and Claritin.
Zyrtec.
Yeah.
I got a lot of recommendations for different.
All the
Ds.
Ds are really good.
I got a lot of
Oops.
D recommendations for
Oops.
you while you're in LA.
Yeah, right.
One time Dax took a drug test and he was on
Oh,
it
yeah.
and it showed up.
Showed.
It showed for
Wow,
methamphetamine.
so now I know why
Yeah.
I like
Yeah, yeah.
speed. Speed's real.
It's real.
Where are you from originally? I know you're
Here,
a
I'm from
Brooklynite.
Pasadena.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, and my parents live in Santa Barbara.
They do.
My sister lives in San Francisco, where I just was last night. So
Oh my
I'm a California
gosh.
girl, but I've been in New York for a long time.
So what was Pasadena like in the 1990s
Did you
growing
go
up?
to the Houstons a lot?
Yeah, did you ever go to Houston?
I definitely went to Houston.
We
It was much more like boring and suburban in
Okay.
terms of like the West Side felt so much further away. Like my cousins in Santa Monica, that was like a journey when we went
Yeah.
Yeah.
to visit them versus like now with the Gold Line and just like young people live in Pasadena and families. And
Yeah,
it was
it's so
like, it was much more like Westchester or Long Island or something compared to New York. Like that was the vibe.
Yeah. The history of it's really interesting. I only learned it in that Strange Angel book about the guy who
Yeah.
started JPL
Yeah.
or was one of the founding members. But yeah, that it was originally, it was like a playground in the winter for super rich people from Chicago. Like the Wrigleys had a mansion.
Yes.
All these like
Yes.
empire families had
Yes,
homes in Pasadena.
totally.
And then if you moved all the way to California from Chicago, you'd stop in Pasadena. You wouldn't go to the
Right.
ocean.
Well, and that's why it's kind of conservative because it has these roots that are Midwestern.
Oh, that's
Yeah, yeah,
And
yeah.
like
interesting.
literally like white Christian people who move from the Midwest.
Yeah.
And
a
so
ton
it's
of
very
money.
different than some of the East Side. And then you get into the like Scientology and the Jet Propulsion Laboratory and like
Yes, and Alistair
weird
Orgies.
Crowley.
yeah.
Yeah, the sexual orgies, the cult stuff.
Yeah.
That's what was in Strange Angel.
Yeah. I haven't read it, but I've heard of it. I should read it.
You should. And you know, he met his end by blowing up his garage, testing a new rocket fuel, and like
Well, I guess we
leveled his
know
house and fucked
the
up.
results of the test.
Yeah, like from
He
neighbors.
was on a little too much D.
Okay, so what school do you go to? How do you end up leaving California?
We then lived in DC when I was a teenager, but always
Okay.
came back to California. So very sort of bi-coastal. And then I went to college in Connecticut. And so I've been in New York ever since.
Is that
Did you
code
go to
for
Yale?
something?
No, I went to
Okay.
Wesleyan. No, I shouldn't say it that way. That's always a problem.
College in Boston, college in Connecticut.
Yeah, no, college in Cambridge. No, I didn't. No. I went to Wesleyan.
You graduate from there, and then you move immediately to New York?
I did a master's in the UK because it was free. I did like a creative nonfiction program, and over there, it's a little less traditional. They don't really have a strong tradition like we do, of like, you know, Jonathan Safran Foer, or I guess he's more novels, like Dave Eggers, like creative nonfiction as a genre is sort of still being figured out over there. So they were like, come on, Americans, come here for free. So
Oh.
I did a
Nice.
degree at the University of East Anglia, which is in Norwich. which is a medieval city in the east of England.
Oh,
so that was fun. I drank a lot of cider.
Did you take on an English lover? No, right?
Redacted.
Oh.
Redacted.
You know, everyone was like college age and we were just like running around. So like, you know,
Fun was had.
fun was had.
Oh,
but it was just a
good.
year and then I came back to New York and I've been there ever since.
Okay, and you worked at Vogue for a while as
Yep.
the culture.
Yeah, I was writing and blogging there during this sort of like boom in blogs where you would write like, you know, one headline about like Melania Trump's jacket or whatever, and you would get like, you know, 1 million views. Like it was just sort of nonstop all the time, like 2015 to 2020. That was really, and then, you know, traffic really changed and Google and Facebook messed with their algorithms. And so it's really different. But it was like, you know, especially for women's blogs, women's political writing, it was like a boom era.
Did you have to report to Anna?
I guess technically I did.
Yeah.
I got
obsessed
to
with
do
her.
really cool stuff because I was sort of, culture was anything that wasn't fashion or beauty. And
Yeah.
so I was doing politics, I was doing books, I was doing
That's so
kind
cool.
of whatever.
Yeah.
And so I covered AOC really early in 2018 before she won her primary.
Yeah.
And so then I was sort of in touch with her people, and they had me do a profile of her after she'd been in office for a year. And I went down and spent 3 days with her in Congress, and that was like her first big profile. So that was really fun. And that was just, you know, I never would have done that.
Yeah.
I never would have I never would have connected with her if I hadn't been able to just like kind of do my own thing and do whatever I
so
wanted
cool.
within reason.
Yeah. I didn't even anticipate, and I should have, that
The Vogue?
Yeah, that I was going to mention Vogue just as like moving on, and then I didn't anticipate, and I should have, that you would have been like, well,
We got
stop
stuck here
everything.
for a second. Yeah.
Well, and then when I went to New York Magazine next at The Cut, that was
Yes.
the transition because I was, you know, The Cut is New York Mag's women's vertical, and so it made a lot of sense there.
Okay, so in 2021, you wrote an article about MLMs, and I'm presuming that you thought that would be it. You would just kind of write an article, but what happened?
Well, so I was aware of MLMs because there are like, you know, in sort of the cultural, I don't know, amoeba. There have been a few things that have sort of bubbled up, and MLMs are like in the culture and kind of have been.
Yeah, what was the yoga pants one?
Yeah.
Like that was
Yeah,
all
so
the...
LuLaRoe, that company, that documentary Lula Rich, which is great.
Yes,
So that had
Rich.
come out. A fantastic podcast called The Dream had come out, which is great. And there was a documentary in 2016 called Betting on Zero, which is about when Bill Ackman tried to short Herbalife, which was a long saga that actually started in 2012 and lasted through 2016. So there have been like a few moments where it sort of bubbles, and I was aware of it. And, you know, being a writer who was covering women at the time, and during 2020, I was covering labor and women because so many women were laid off. And there was just a lot, you know, the COVID front lines were predominantly women because women make up, you know, the majority of the service sector of retail. Women are nurses, women are teachers. So these were the jobs that were really being
essential
discussed heavily.
workers.
Right. They were essential workers. And so MLM was interesting to me in that respect. And these companies were really pitching themselves as a different type of job for people who were laid off. So that was the impetus for the article. And I certainly wasn't the only one who, you know, there were a sort of flurry of articles about this phenomenon. But when you are a journalist and you write an article, even a short one, you always do sort of the background graph, right? Whatever industry you're in, you know, and more recently I've been covering real estate. And so whenever I'm writing about something, I go back and you do the little like quick and dirty of like, what's the deal with this?
How'd we get here?
Exactly.
Yeah.
The how'd we get here paragraph.
Yeah.
And in this article for MLM, I couldn't write the paragraph in the way I normally did because there are just so many contradictions right away about how it worked. And I couldn't understand why there was this aura around MLM that was so scammy. And you literally look it up and the government website, the American government website says, this is legal, but maybe don't do this.
Right.
And like, what is this? And how it was both so informal, it seemed like the Wild West, like the guy squeegeeing your car, like literally an informal economy. But then also you look up, these companies are traded on stock exchanges and they're some of the richest people in America. And that dichotomy was also weird.
Yeah.
Did you know going in at that stage that 7.7% of the country has at some point, like over 17 million people have worked.
Oh.
And I bet that's an undercount.
Yeah.
Right. So when you think of any domain that would employ 17 million people, you'd think there'd be like a really rich history of how.
Exactly.
Yeah.
There would be a definitive history because that's what we always go to, right, as journalists. And even if you're kind of doing an update, right, on and kind of rewriting a narrative, which, you know, happens every so often, you do have something to work with. Whether it's an academic book or whether it's another journalist or whether it's a film or something, you know, you have something to go to. And that didn't really exist in a mainstream way about MLM. And that was just so bizarre to me. And it just sort of stuck with me.
Is it because you don't have to register it? I mean, MLM is something we've placed on it, right? Like those companies aren't acknowledging that they're MLMs, or are they?
Now they're not.
Okay,
because it's almost a bad word.
Yeah, it is.
But for multi-level marketing, the word was invented because pyramid scheme became a bad word.
Right.
When they were invented, they used the word pyramid.
They did, yeah.
For a long time, MLM was the correct term. And then I would say maybe in the 2000s, they started using network marketing because it sounded more internet-y, more digital.
Yeah, it could be tech.
Exactly.
Yeah.
More innovative, even though it's all the same shit.
Yeah.
Multi-level marketing is definitely the official name. Like if you Google, like I was saying, if you Google the FTC, what they say about multi-level marketing, that is the official name for this type of business where you're recruiting people and you can make money off your team and stuff.
So
That's
like
MLM.
on the Mary Kay website, would it say it?
It says direct selling. So they've gone
Direct
all
selling.
the way back to
Direct
the very beginning to try to seem like, you know, it's just like Avon, door-to-door selling. It's like the old-timey, just like the old, you know, in the colonial times, the guy that would sell like soap made out of like whale blubber or whatever.
So there is a tiny distinction we should make. I heard you say in an interview, we should make a distinction between a pyramid scheme and MLM. There is a distinction.
Should we?
Or not, you tell me. If 17 million people have been employed in this racket, there will be many people listening that are either currently involved, will be approached soon, or have already been through it. And so what I want to attempt to do is not give them the defenses that have been set up on a silver platter by their employer. So it's not a pyramid scheme, right? They probably know why it's not a pyramid scheme. So I think it behooves us to acknowledge what their counters would already be. Does that make sense?
Yeah. Well, right. Yes. I think that's a great way to think about it because MLM, multi-level marketing, whatever you want to call it, has been able to tell its own story for 80 years, which is part of why when I looked into it, there wasn't an outsider like a journalist or like somebody else telling that story because they've been able to do it for so long. So what multi-level marketing is supposed to be is these guys that invented it, they took that old direct selling model, which, you know, as long as the United States has been around, since we were an agrarian republic, you know, before the Civil War, when everyone was basically a farmer, there weren't cities.
Yeah.
Door-to-door selling has been around. We didn't have shipping lines and train lines and manufacturing centers and all the things that we have now. You know, there is like a more rich history about these guys because they were very significant in, you know, bringing new products, new innovations, and also just connecting these rural households, right?
Yeah.
I have an image of a man in like a 1940s Buick rolling up into the rural driveway and pulling his wares out.
But it's always been a menial type of labor. It's always been filling in the gaps. Like, it's not a job you want. It's not a job because there's not security, right? You're buying stuff for a wholesale price and you're selling it, and you are, you know, subject to the weather. You're subject to the whims of, like, if you encounter someone that day who's had a bad day who says, like, get off my, you know, doorstep.
Stealing.
Right, you don't get benefits. You don't have minimum wage. So that exists. And what MLM, the men who invented MLM, who were salesmen in the 1940s, they invented a scheme to avoid all the worst things that we just talked about, which is that instead of being compensated on what you could actually sell, you would be compensated on what you buy. And then you could bring other people in under you, which was, again, normal in sales, where if you were maybe a branch manager of a Fuller Brush outfit, you would recruit good salesmen. And if they were great salesmen and selling a lot, you would get a chunk of their commission.
Right.
But it was always on what they sold. And so what these guys did was they said, what if it was just on what people bought and you could keep whatever the people you brought in also bought, you would get rewarded based on that all the way down.
Downline.
And create your downline. And so what that does is, think about it, instead of bringing in a bunch of salesmen and whatever your cut from the company is dependent on what they sell and all, you know, the weather and you know, the mood of the housewives they encounter,
Yeah.
what they're selling is that opportunity to bring in other people behind them, and everyone is buying.
Yeah.
The salesmen are the customers, not the customers.
Exactly. And at the time when it was invented, ostensibly that stuff was getting sold, right? So if this is really working, I'm Bridget, I'm you know, joining, and Dax is my sponsor or upline. And so he sells me $1,000 worth of vitamins. And if I bring in you, Monica, and I get you to also buy $1,000 worth of vitamins, Dax gets a bigger cut. And down the chain. In theory, if we're selling all those vitamins, we're sitting pretty, right?
Right.
That's right.
But already selling vitamins was not a way people were making a lot of money, right? And if in this system, all you have to do is show that you're buying and you're rewarded based on what you're buying, why would you sell them? You would just recruit. And so that's what happens.
Interesting.
And immediately in the way they set up these companies, and from the very first one, you get more based on the bigger group buying.
You're not incentivized to move product as much as you are incentivized to have more and more employees that are buying the product
to
themselves.
openly recruit.
So a pyramid scheme actually doesn't have a product. There isn't a best case scenario where all the vitamins got sold. There's never been a product, right?
Well, there is a product, but it's just a cover for what is essentially a Ponzi scheme.
A Ponzi scheme.
Exactly.
Yes,
so
yes.
so in the scenario we just discussed, where everybody is just buying in, if I'm at the top and I get in early and I get a bunch of people under me and you get a bunch of people under you, and I'm making, so all of that group in my downline are buying a big amount of vitamins every month, I'm getting a big check from the company every month. But all of those people also have to recruit. Right? And so what inevitably ends up happening is the people who get in later have a harder time.
Sure.
Because once everybody's buying, you're saturating your market, right? So you know, maybe I had an easy time doing it. But now that this scheme has been bubbling, it started in Long Beach, right? So already, and this is according to the company's own records, Nutrilite, which was the first multilevel marketing company, already the couples that start doing this, you know, within a year, you know, they have to move west because they don't have enough people have already bought in.
Interesting.
And so it becomes a Ponzi scheme when the expansion is what is required to make money. And inevitably, not everybody has the equal chance of expanding.
Right.
And so that's a Ponzi scheme. And that's a classic, whether you're Charles Ponzi, who it's named after, who was just doing this banking scheme in the 1920s, or whether you're Bernie Madoff, right? What's actually expanding in Bernie Madoff's Ponzi scheme is the group of people paying in.
Yeah.
And so he's just making money off of more and more people paying in.
Right.
And what
Interesting.
inevitably happens is once that stops, it collapses. And the people who got in early make out with the most money, and the people who got in later lose.
Yeah.
So that's a Ponzi. So the problem, though, to answer your question, is that MLM eventually, by the 70s, when a bunch of multi-level marketing companies turned out to be pyramid schemes, there was this problem of like, what is this and how does it work? And multi-level marketing ostensibly created these rules that keep it from being a Ponzi scheme or a pyramid scheme. A pyramid scheme being just a Ponzi with a fake product, right? You're moving product, but really you're not. You're just bringing people in.
Right.
And so in the 70s, we get this distinction between a pyramid scheme, which is a system where people are rewarded by buying in, and they're rewarded. It has nothing to do with the retail product. That's the definition of a pyramid scheme.
That's what delineates the two.
Exactly. And
Yeah.
then we have multiple marketing, which is something that operates the exact same way, and yet through these rules, which are not enforced,
Yeah.
it's not a Ponzi scheme. And so
Yeah.
that it is a gray area. And these were trade regulations based on an FTC case. So it's not like we have legislation that did this. This wasn't a Supreme Court case, right? We don't have a pyramid scheme law. So this is the only thing.
Is there any task? Well, I mean, we'll get to that, I guess.
Yeah. So it's hard. Like your question is the perfect one to ask, because this is the problem, right? It's like,
Yeah.
how do we deal with this thing that's been legalized in the United States, and yet there's overwhelming evidence that there isn't a difference. And my book really argues that there isn't a difference functionally.
Yeah. And I agree, functionally for sure. And if you just model out it unimpeded, you would have to get to the conclusion, okay, well, then everyone's been converted.
Right. Every single person on earth
You imagine everyone's been converted.
would be selling.
It has
the
to
product.
collapse at that point. That's not the model of if everyone uses Netflix crumbles. No, Netflix is the most valuable company in the
Right.
world.
Right. Because
know.
they're selling a product and the customers are paying for a product.
Yes.
This is, people investing.
So it starts with the Neutralite.
Yeah.
So in your research, were you able to determine whether the original two dudes, was it two guys?
Two guys. Always two guys.
Did they foresee it in the nefarious way, or did they believe in it?
I love that question. And
Yeah.
and I still, so when MLM was invented in 1945, and then it grows exponentially, this company. By 1955, they're celebrating their 10-year anniversary. They have this big celebration in Long Beach, and they're millionaires.
And roughly how many people are selling?
At that point, there were at least, I think, between 30 and 50,000 people across the country, which is a lot.
Wow.
So at that point in the United States, right, we've won World War II. We have the American era has begun, right? And Eisenhower becomes president, and we're all sort of we really become like American consumers for the first time, in the way that we had a booming product retail manufacturing economy.
Yeah.
You think of, and this is why housewives become kind of the canonical figures of the 50s, because not only are they, doing Leave It to Beaver style domestic labor, they have all these products to help them. And that's why, Tupperware, which was a door-to-door selling operation and was not multi-level marketing for many years, Tupperware is like a great emblem of that, because it's all about homemaking, but it's a scientific product. It's made with plastics, which were new.
Yeah.
And so you have this booming economy based on products and selling, and the idea that we were all going to be good citizens by buying stuff. That's how you could be a good citizen, was being a real consumer. And there's a scholar who's named this the consumer republic. That's the idea that we were actually, that was a political act to be a good buyer, and then of course salesmen then become also these patriotic figures, because we're all building this amazing economy, and the idea that that's how we would get abundance.
Yes.
Wow.
And so at that time, when it's in that context, maybe the idea that you could have a system based on everyone constantly buying, and that there would always be more people to buy, maybe that was more believable, right? That there would always be more people and more markets and more expansion.
Yes, and I can minimally imagine them saying, well, all we've really done is flip the order of events. Normally, we would give you the product, you would sell it, you'd pay back what you owed of it, we'd then give you your commission.
Exactly.
And this is just, you buy it, you right away are the holder of that. Whether or not that could have been their intentions or not, I could see where their argument would be like, well, I don't know what you're upset about. We just changed the order of this.
Yeah, and they really used the actual exploding population of the U.S. as their justification.
It was like going to be, there's only a way through this.
Exactly. There's a quote that one of them gave a newspaper that, we really don't ever see people running out of people in markets.
Yeah.
Because at that time, it really was,
The baby boom.
and California, right, where they was exploding. It was just
Yeah.
growing. And so,
Aerospace.
right.
Yeah.
And this idea that you could have a product that was brand new and that it would set you up for life.
And what was their product? Was it?
So Neutralite was supplements, it was vitamins.
Oh,
It was
it's the
vitamins.
original racket.
Yeah. And so yes, like I kind of do weirdly lend them some credulity in that way. However,
Yeah.
at least one of them, so Mittinger, who's one of the guys, he was a salesman selling funeral plots. And I have to give a shout out to Bob Fitzpatrick, who's this guy who makes a lot of appearances in my book, and he's kind of the original Cassandra of this. He was roped into a pyramid scheme in the 80s and kind of became obsessed and never dropped it. And he's really the first one to even have started to put these strands together. And he's self-published. He's written 2 books on MLM, and they're like, without him, I would have never been able to draw the conclusions I did and go a little deeper than he did.
And he remained a fan, or he? No, he.
No.
Okay.
He's the number one skeptic.
Whistleblower.
Yes, exactly.
Yeah, okay.
But anyway, he's sort of the first person to put these 2 figures back on the map because they've been like sort of rewritten out of that narrative we talked about. Because, like I said earlier, when these guys invented multilevel marketing, they called it a pyramid plan because that's what it is.
That's the
Yes.
structure if you look at it. Yeah.
Anyway, Mittinger, funeral plot salesman, he actually so funeral plot selling, and this is like a slight detour, but one of the industries that at this time in the 30s and 40s was booming in a very exploitative way, where before the sort of modern funeral industry, and the biggest one that everyone thinks of is Forest Lawn, which is here in Los Angeles.
Yeah.
Right. So before that, a funeral and funeral plot and burial was really not something that made a lot of money or that cost a lot of money. It was like you did it through your church, you did it through your union, like it was a municipal thing. And in the 20s and 30s, it became this big business where guys would come to your house and say, "Oh, you got to buy a funeral plot now. You got to buy it for your family.
You need to be married. You need to be buried next to your wife."
Exactly. And if you want a good afterlife, and they would literally, I mean, it got so scammy, they would sell you like shoes to wear on your dead body that were
my
like,
God.
Ensure your
exactly.
safe passage.
And of course, it's like, oh, can we upsell you, next to the river or next to the stream
beautiful
or whatever?
view while you're dead,
Exactly.
yeah.
And even some of them they were like land investment schemes where it'll be like you could sell this plot, right? Anyway, incredibly exploitative and scammy industry.
Yeah.
And there were funeral plot rackets all around the country where the guys would like swarm in, sell all these plots, and take the money and leave, and they wouldn't even
There was no
build.
plot.
Exactly.
Yeah. It's a great product to sell when you're not going to find out about it for 30 years.
And it's weirdly similar, I think, to vitamins in that you're selling your future and it's so
Health.
unknowable. Exactly. And it's all the way to sell it is to press on anxiety about your future and your health and your family. And no one could really say, actually, you don't need this. Like, no one knows, right?
Yeah. We interview a lot of doctors, and they're all pretty split on supplements.
Well, just like you
Yeah.
said, like we don't know about the
Right.
afterlife, mate. What if being by the
Exactly.
stream made
Exactly.
you happier?
You better get those shoes, mommy.
Right.
Yeah.
So that one of them, Lee Mittinger, we know was a salesman in this industry. And actually, right before he starts Neutralite, he is employed by a funeral plot company that's actually driven out of the state of Maine because they're so exploitative and so scammy. These guys would go into towns around Christmas time, set up a nativity, and watch to see who's religious to come visit it and take down the license plate numbers to then go to those houses to sell funeral plots. And we know this because this one Maine state senator like got on the floor of the state senate and listed all of these things that this company had done. It was called Brooklawn. And so that's his last job before he comes to start.
So he already has a ton of integrity.
Yes. And the other, Castleberry, William Castleberry, who's the other guy.
These are great names.
Yes, very like old black and white movie. He was a Stanford-educated psychologist who trained under Louis Terman, who's one of America's most foremost eugenicists.
Oh.
So at the time, in the 30s when this guy's at Stanford, eugenics, the idea that certain characteristics are undesirable, largely Black and brown people.
Yeah.
And that we can weed out like unproductive, inefficient characteristics, and we should do that, and we can create a better and more efficient society.
Selective breeding like crops. Yeah.
Exactly. Which of course, like, is in the 30s becomes really related to Nazism, and that's why very quickly eugenics as a fad is really like, you know, it has academic departments and it's totally accepted, and then very quickly in the lead up to World War II and after, it becomes like, you know, it's panned and sort of debunked as a pseudoscience and racist.
Yeah.
But this guy was steeped in that stuff. And then he sort of starts this almost like Dr. Ruth, eugenicsy Dr. Ruth, where he opens a psychological practice and does family counseling. And teams up with this other guy, Paul Popenow, who's a sort of more well-known figure in this space, who's doing like family counseling for specifically white families, and basically discouraging divorce, discouraging women living alone. So it's all very like preserving the nuclear family.
Yeah, white race.
Exactly. And a patriarchal household and all this stuff. And he's like going on radio shows and doing occupational therapy. So also telling people, and it's very familiar now, right? It's like he's doing, you know, lessons on how to do a job interview or how not to feel lost, like self-help,
Right.
and doing it on the radio. So he's very good at manipulating people. That's his field. And he writes like a self-help book that doesn't do very well.
Stay tuned for more Armchair Expert, if you dare.
So when all that context is in it, then
It's harder to
it's
extend
harder. Yes.
generous assessment.
And I think that's why within 20 years, all of these companies are extremely problematic, because we've now had them around long enough to see how they work. When they invented it, you know, all people saw in MLM was people doing well. And that's because right away, the other number one invention of multilevel marketing, in addition to rewarding people based on what they buy, is turning that around and calling them sales. So instead of Dax saying, oh, I sold Bridget $1,000 worth of wholesale vitamins, he says, I have, if we're doing a 50% discount, he says, I have $2,000 in sales. In retail sales right away.
Because I know it's going to go down line.
The hypothetical sale is allowed to be, they just report it as reality. And this is in their documents. This is in the documents we have on how it worked. It's just very open that they reported retail sales as a just estimate, whatever, based on whatever discounts people were getting of what they bought.
Whoa.
So that's why on that 10-year anniversary, Nutrilite says it's a X million-dollar business, which at the time was like huge.
Yeah.
I can't remember the exact figure, because they're just counting everything that everyone's buying and assuming that it's all being sold. And that to this day is how the industry estimates its value.
That was Enron as well.
Yeah.
Counting future projected profits as...
It's called speculation, and it's responsible for many of our recessions over the last 100 years.
Now, is there any... I have to imagine there are varying levels of success in these. Like I can imagine there are companies where a good percentage of it did get sold or not. And I'm curious, like, so the first one, Nutrilite, were they, or it was bad right out of the gates?
So Nutrilite ends up getting government attention, but not first from the FTC, which is the agency of the Federal Trade Commission that now goes after bad MLMs.
Okay.
But it was the FDA, because vitamins were the product, and there was still, you know, regulation was catching up to vitamins.
And they're making health claims.
They're making crazy claims that these little, alfalfa pills was his chosen product. And that they could cure cancer. They can make you skinny. They could make you fatter if you were too skinny. They could cure of worry of small things.
Yeah.
Ran the gamut. So the FDA comes in and says, no, this is violating, all the rules that we do have. And they try to get them to pulp these booklets. They don't. It goes all the way to the state Supreme Court. And Nutrilite actually enlists this very famous lawyer named Charles Rhine, who was Richard Nixon's roommate at Duke.
Oh,
And
wow.
he becomes a quite prominent Republican. But anyway, they allow a bunch of claims through, and as long as they just make those claims, they don't shut down the company. So that's in the 50s. But what we do have from that court case are statistics on success in the company. And right away, under 2% of people enrolled in the company were even making like the minimum to be considered like a leader, right?
The current figure in your book is 99%. 99% of everyone that gets involved with an MLM will lose money.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So this is the first one, and those statistics are like that.
Yeah, you just have to imagine walking into, I can't even think of a place that employs 100 people, but you go onto the floor of an assembly line and there is 100 workers in there, and you're thinking about applying, and the person says, oh, just so you know, only one guy here of these 100 is getting paid. You would never put in your fucking application.
Never.
Like, that's such
why
staggering statistics.
They don't recruit with those income disclosures. And at various times when the FTC has tried to regulate MLM, they do it often in that way, trying to, there will be an earnings claim rule that they'll try to pass where an MLM would have to give you all of those, true earnings statements when they recruit you and make sure that you read it. And you'd have to take 7 days to review it and all this stuff. So yeah, of course they don't recruit openly,
Yeah.
but yes, right away, the first company, the statistics are dismal for success.
And then such a obvious parallel with the MLM, just the American ethos in general, which is like as long as we can prop up the one person that did crush, it perpetuates the whole dream. Like all you need is the 1% being very vocal that are making money to make you ignore all the people around you that are not. And that's just kind of like...
It's like when people are like, yeah, Black people can succeed just as easily. Look at Obama.
Yeah, we got one guy and we're like, problem solved.
Yeah.
And the idea is that if you're not doing well, it's your own fault, right? Because everybody has an equal chance to buy in. When, of course, it's not equal, right? Because if you're early in it, of course you have a better chance. But also, everybody's not a good salesman.
Yes.
That's the other thing is like, it's really never been...
sales is hard.
It's hard.
Yeah.
And so, it's just never been on equal footing.
Yeah.
But when you're recruited, they're going to say, oh, we do everything for you. You're going to have amazing sales training. And nowadays, podcasts, YouTube, audio, books, like there's so much that they'll give you that will make you think you have an equal chance. But it's just never been that way. And of course, also now the problem is we live in a world where you can buy everything at big box retailers for cheap prices. Every MLM is expensive, and it's always been that way. Nutrilite was very expensive because all you care about is what they're buying, right? You don't care about what they're selling. So you need it up front to be expensive. And of course, that means that even if people only do it for a few months, you're getting a lot of money, right? More than you would if you made it cheap.
There's also this deep irony, which is the appeal of it is totally understandable, which is like be your own boss, which of course isn't really even true because you were recruited and you pay upline. But you probably are disenfranchised with the broader options, jobs available, and you think that there's a kind of hierarchical cabal happening and you've been excluded. And this is a license to not have to play by all those rules. And then you enter into the most structured hierarchical, cannot move up scenario. It's just so ironic that the appeal of it is that it's what it promises versus what it is. It's the exact opposite, really. Yeah. You can't even move up.
Right. You're locked into the downline, which is the most important thing because it determines what you're going to get. And that's why people these days, like the Amway downlines, for example, and Amway is the company that the two guys who start Amway come from Nutrilite. And so they end up buying Nutrilite in the 70s. So Amway is functionally the oldest MLM in the world. Those families that did well in Amway and got in early in the 60s, they still are at the top of the downline. The Amway founders actually have a position in the downline in addition to owning the company.
Oh my God.
And they still have it. And so it really is like a little dynasty. And this is why in the past, the SEC tried to regulate MLM as a security because it is like a position, right? It's like if you bought stock in Apple in X year, the value is worth this.
Yeah.
If you joined at this time and your position is here in the downline, so all the downlines under you, even if you stopped recruiting long ago, but you have a recruiter that then built their own big downline, you're sitting pretty on your empire, and they give those positions to their families. You can give it.
They're transferable.
Absolutely.
What?
Yeah, but you can inherit an Amway business.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah. Which, of course, is like the idea that you're selling products. Like, that's a joke.
Right.
It just is even more evidence that it's not based on product sales.
Yeah.
Because the idea that the Amway founders are selling products door to door.
Yeah.
Oh my God.
They're just not.
Even?
On their
What is
yacht.
the technical product of Amway?
Yeah,
Everything.
so tell us the history of Amway. So it comes, the two of the people from Nutrilite.
So Rich DeVos, as in Betsy DeVos, that's her father-in-law, and Jay Van Andel. These are two high school buddies from Grand Rapids, Michigan.
Uh-oh.
That's where Dax is
Oopsies.
from.
And they are from this very devout Calvinist Christian sect of the Christian Reformed Church in Grand Rapids. So the DeVos and Van Andel, they joined Nutrilite in around, I think, 1949. And they are very successful. They build a huge organization of bringing people in. And they then do what becomes a pattern in MLM, which is if MLM, as we've discussed, the statistics are as bad as, say, gambling, it's always better to be the house, right, than to be a gambler.
Yep.
Yeah.
Even the most successful gambler. So people start their own MLMs almost immediately. And they're really funny because some of the early ones are like just literal copies. And these are in the book, like the guy who starts, one of the first ones, he calls it Abundavita. And if Nutrilite was a little alfalfa pill, he's like, well, my alfalfa pill is from this special farm in Colorado, and you can only harvest it between midnight and 3 a.m. because of the moon.
Oh my God.
You know, it's like so it's such
More magic
bullshit, but
dust.
it's exactly the same.
Yes. Now, if you're starting your own, do you still get like the Nutrilite earnings as well? Like
No,
okay.
you would be what they do is they take a lot of their team with them. So they they start Amway with a built-in downline.
Okay.
And they name the company before they even have a product, which ding ding ding, and another piece of evidence that the product is the people,
Irrelevant.
right?
Yeah.
Because they bring their downline over and they start Amway, which stands for American Way, shortened to Amway eventually, and they start with a product that's a liquid cleaner. And they were really prescient. It was a like sort of natural cleaner that in the 70s they're sort of ahead of the curve when people are starting to talk about chemicals and so that's one of their first products, but then it expands, and now I mean you can buy anything from Amway, and when you join Amway they encourage you to get rid of what you're buying from Costco or Walgreens or whatever. Buy Glister is their toothpaste.
They have the money to manufacture all of this? I'm like, that's wild.
Well, they're just private label
Exactly.
products.
They're white label products. Amway does have a factory in Michigan.
Oh.
But they're marked up like you've never heard of Glister, right?
Right.
Why would you?
Yeah.
But the idea that this is one of the top 100 private companies in the US and you've never heard of the product?
Yeah. Yeah.
That's weird,
That's
right?
weird. Yeah.
So anyway, they start their company, Amway, and Amway, they're incredibly good at recruiting and at the business opportunity, and they're just really good. And so they start doing that in Michigan. At the same time, another branch splits off. That company I described with the alfalfa in the middle of the night, that's this company called Abundavita. Those guys are like, well, we don't like this. We're going to start a new one. And it's literally like a virus spreading. And there's a company called NutriBio. And that company really is probably the first pyramid scheme because it spreads across the country like wildfire. They're really good recruiters. They go into Canada. They spread. The authorities take notice, and they are shut down within a few years. Again, by FDA rather than the FTC because it's about the products and the claims about the products. And those guys then spread even more companies out here in California.
Sorry, the parallels between religion are so amazing as well.
Yeah.
Like, it would be so logical for anyone in the mid rung of this pyramid to recognize all I got to do is take my downline over here, and now I'm the top of the pyramid.
Exactly.
So, like, what a natural thought.
You just have to be a guru, and you got to be selling a good story.
And there's the proselytizing and the spreading, and it just has all these parallels of American Christianity, which is like all these people are this is a new spin on it. Well, why don't I have a spin on it?
And they were raised, the DeVos and Van Andel were raised in this church, like we've talked about, Calvinist church, which has like a, really strong tradition of proselytizing and sermons. And in that tradition, the prosperity gospel is very strong. And the Protestant work ethic is actually, that term by Max Weber, the sociologist, is coined when he comes to America and observes this group of people.
Oh, really?
The Calvinist Christians.
That's who they were referring to.
Not Puritans, not the Massachusetts Pilgrims, but these guys, because their work ethic is extremely strong and they're doing it all to be more godly.
Like Mormons.
Exactly. And this idea that accumulating wealth is actually going to get you closer to God. It's not bad and it's not greed. And it actually, you'll get, where you're going to get into heaven is based on how industrious you are on earth. And so those guys, so they're doing it in Michigan, the Amway guys, these much flashier companies. There's one called Holiday Magic, which is amazing.
What's that?
They're selling makeup. So in the 60s, makeup becomes the product as women stream into MLM.
Yeah.
At first it was these Christian couples, and Amway did the same thing. So Nutrilite, Amway, it's Christian couples. And then in the 60s, more women are entering the labor market and they want to go to work, but they still have to do childcare.
Yep.
And they can't really, it's much harder to enter the sort of traditional wage labor market where you're, working a 9 to 5 or you're checking in a factory, whatever. So they're doing work and they also need to supplement it. And so they want this flexible pitch. So that becomes the pitch. And then in the 60s, you get Mary Kay, which is probably the most well-known
Tell us
company
about
for
Mary
women.
Kay.
Well, and Mary Kay, she starts her company in Dallas. And she's this old grandma. And her story is that she was in traditional door-to-door selling when she just came upon this business model with her husband, who they're about to start the company. It's 1963. And she was she became the best salesman at her old company, and they promoted a guy above her. And so there's this
Great
pseudo-feminist thing.
Feminism.
Exactly.
Oh.
And her husband, he drops dead at the breakfast table the day before they're starting the company. So she's all by herself.
So she murdered him.
She was this is going to be huge. I got to get him out of
this
the
is
equation.
I don't think that happened, but
we can't rule it
that
out.
origin story persisted for so long. And that was really actually a niggling thing for me when I was doing my research, because I was like, well, wait, the other companies I described to you, that nest, it's really, you can document it, how these guys took the company idea and then just copied the plan, which is what they called multiple marketing, dun, 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 truly.
Yeah.
They just copied the plan in with different products. And this lady in Texas, I'm like, but how did she figure it out? And it was a little bit of a ooh, and I'm trying to have an open mind. So I'm like, well, maybe it does make sense from direct selling, and it isn't this specific fraud that's being copied all over the country.
Right.
But what I discovered was that her husband worked for one of these other companies, NutriBio, and it just was never, she always said her husband was a businessman, and she never said what kind. And I was able to find his death record and newspaper records that showed he worked for this company, NutriBio, the one I said was the country's first pyramid scheme.
Wow.
So they're all like a nest, and you can trace them all the way to Herbalife, which starts in the 90s. Wow. The guys who started Herbalife, they trained in these early companies in the 60s.
Oh my God.
And so it's all the same thing. And then what happens in the 70s is the government finally tries to crack down.
What prompts that?
So at one point in the 70s, 1 in 8 Americans had tried multilevel marketing, which is just crazy.
Yeah, today that would be 40 million, 45 million people.
Tried as in they participated, they were selling or buying.
Had enrolled in, to join.
Because I've been to some Mary Kay parties.
You have?
Yeah.
Oh,
Yeah, because
in
you're from the
Georgia?
South.
Or-
I'm from the
That
South.
makes sense.
and did you enjoy them? Yeah, they're like so.
I would just be like brought by my like aunt or my mom.
course.
Yeah.
And, you know, you get these like tiny, they give you all these samples,
Oh, yeah.
but they're like tiny things of lipstick. And it's pretty wild.
But it's fun, right? Like
the parties are fun.
Yeah, it's interesting what's being sold, and then it gets really hard to evaluate what the people are really after, and is it beneficial or not. I mean,
Yeah, you get
there are-
community.
It's
of course.
multifaceted. Like part of it is like I bet there are people who they didn't make money, but they'll look back on that Mary Kay period of their life as maybe they loved it.
100%.
Yeah,
and I've
it's
spoken to them,
social.
and they've lost thousands of dollars, and they don't care.
Yeah.
That's right, because it's a nice social network, and they get together, and you get the purpose is to get pretty that day and to feel special and all
Yeah.
that. It's a tenuous business model in that I have to imagine the burnout, as you said, like 1 in 8 people tried it. My assumption is it's easy to try, and you exploit your immediate circle of friends and family, and then
Exactly.
once that's over, you recognize it's going to be impossible to sell to strangers.
You make your A list, which is like your family and friends, your B list, which is like your coworkers, maybe your acquaintances, and then your C list, which is like the girls you DM on Facebook or Instagram or whatever. And so once you burn through those, very quickly you will learn. And there's a woman who I document in the book.
Monique?
Yes, exactly. Her, because I wanted to show the granularity of like, you've spent this money, you've bought all these products, you've gone through these people, and immediately your upline tells you, well, recruit, build a team.
Yeah.
So even when you're struggling, now you're going out and saying, oh, join me, this is great. So immediately you're lying to somebody else, and then you're also lying to yourself because you're telling yourself, okay, well, I am going to sell it eventually.
Yeah.
Because I'll build this team. And so that's what already is happening in the 70s when this many Americans have tried it. And the guys who, not Amway, they're smart and they kind of keep the buy-in amount small. The scammier companies like Holiday Magic I mentioned, which is in San Francisco based, and they're selling makeup. This other company that's amazing called Dare to Be Great, and they're just selling self-help.
Oh,
They're doing tapes.
Great.
And he's this like incredibly charismatic salesman with a hair lip from the South who is just like an incredible speaker. And he starts in Holiday Magic and he's so scammy. They run him out and he just starts his own thing. Anyway, these guys allowed people to buy in for like $15,000, $10,000 just straight up, which is just very much red flag investment fraud.
That's
Because-
the gift
right.
circle model.
Exactly. You're just
Yeah.
buying into this position where you've bought the ability to access these greater cuts without even having
Doing
to like
anything.
to build the team under you. You buy in at this level and they'll assign people to you, or you'll just, you'll once you recruit a certain amount, then you can basically cash out. And so they do that and very quickly, attract the authorities. And that's when the attorney generals of all kinds of states, California passes its own chain selling, which is another way of a Ponzi. That's one of the terms that kind of comes up in the 70s. They passed very early legislation on that in 1968, one of the first states, but spreads like wildfire all around the country. And by 1971, the state's attorney generals, when they meet, you're supposed to say attorneys general.
It's so
Oh
stupid.
my gosh, that's dumb.
I just heard someone say that the other day, and I was like, it sounds so
saying it out
wrong,
loud
even though
sounds
it's
so dumb.
correct. Yeah.
At their annual meeting, they're like, this is the number one consumer problem in the country.
Wow.
And so the FTC as the federal, they're all kind of like, we have patchwork laws. We are trying to do chain selling. Is it consumer law? Is it an investment scheme? They don't even really know what it is. And that's when this term pyramid scheme starts being used to identify these companies. And you start getting like the Better Business Bureau and local consumer orgs who are saying, this is a thing and this is bad and don't do it.
yeah.
And the FTC finally starts to crack down and they take down Holiday Magic, that one from San Francisco, and they take down, the Dare to Be Great guy had a makeup company called Costco, which stands for, it's a play on Epcot
Oh boy. Okay.
because Disney is a big thing in Florida at this time, and this guy's from Florida, and Epcot,
I love Epcot.
experimental prototype Community of Tomorrow experiment. Something.
I never knew that.
Epcot stands for something like that. I'm butchering it. But so Coscot is just that, but for makeup, and he calls it Coscot Interplanetary because he's going to eventually expand. This guy's great. So anyway, Coscot finally, when they take down that company for being a pyramid scheme, that legal precedent in 1975 is where we get the definition of a pyramid scheme.
The Coscot test.
Exactly. So they decide how we're going to define a pyramid scheme.
Yes. And then do they go into regulating and do they do a good job?
So Walter Mondale, the senator from Minnesota.
Mondale Ferrara.
Exactly. Who eventually ran for president and lost. He writes a bill, the Pyramid Sales Act, and introduces it in 1972. It doesn't pass. It doesn't make it out of, I believe, the Senate. So on that front, legislation kind of fails. And then the FTC has, with these two big cases, has sort of set legal precedent, which enables them to go after other companies. And they finally set their sights on Amway in 1975.
Okay.
And by this time, the Amway founders, DeVos and Van Andel, have become incredibly prominent members of the Republican Party. And they're donors, from the right flank of the Republican Party. So what we now call the Reagan Revolution, or like the New Right. So during the 70s, when a lot of backlash because of how bad the economy was, a lot of that backlash helped fuel this more rightward revolution where, we were going to fix the economy not by doing more progressive stuff, but the opposite, right? Deregulation. We were going to lower the tax rate, supply side economics. All those ideas are being built and funded in part by these guys who are helping to start the Heritage Foundation. They're funneling their money into the U.S. Chamber of Commerce, which is a main incubator of this. And of course, they're giving a ton of money to politicians.
Yeah.
And Gerald Ford, who becomes president by accident in 1974 because Nixon steps down, and then Spiro Agnew, who's his replacement, he's got to go. And so Gerald Ford, this like mild-mannered former football player from Grand Rapids, becomes president. Rich DeVos and Van Andel are close enough to him that they call him Jerry, right?
Good.
And so he is president when the FTC finally files its case against Amway. He eventually runs for president and loses to Carter. And so he's not president during the investigation. But then by the time the FTC is ready to make its decision, and it's actually not the FTC making the decision, it's a law judge. That's how an FTC case works. Like an administrative law judge makes a decision, and the FTC then votes to uphold the decision. So it doesn't go to a jury or a trial or anything like that. And I guess I knew that, but I didn't really think about it, that it was just this one guy.
person.
Like looking at the FTC's case, which they make the case that Amway is a chain selling operation, that people are buying in and they're making money off recruiting, and they're not making money on retail products, which is the Coscot test.
Yes.
And by the time that guy's making the decision, that new right revolution has reached a fever pitch, and it's all about the FTC. The FTC is trying at this point to regulate basically big private companies. And they're going after advertising. Like they try to make a children's advertising rule where companies would actually be forbidden to advertise to kids under a certain age. We would not have sugary cereal ads. We would not have toy ads because there's all these consumer groups coming out and saying, this is actually really harmfully affecting children. People flip out. Those big companies, also the advertisers, flip out.
Yeah.
And they start running ads calling the FTC the national nanny, and they're blaming the FTC. And it feels very resonant today, right? Because it's like the FTC and the government, just a hotbed of cronyism. It's waste. It's fraud.
The swamp.
Exactly. It's all bureaucratic swamp, and we're going to drain it.
Yeah, that's right.
And very much of it is focused on the FTC. So all of that's in the background when this guy is ruling on Amway, and those guys are in the press in sort of the vocal chorus against the government, right? And they're very much backing Ronald Reagan, who's running for president. And so when he makes this decision, he basically puts his hands up and is like, "Okay, Amway, we accept your version of things, which is that Amway has these rules. They're now known as the Amway rules that keep it from being a pyramid scheme because they're all about retailing.
Stay tuned for more Armchair Expert, if you dare.
So Amway tells the FTC, well, you have to have 10 customers a month. That's the 10 customer rule.
Okay.
You have to resell 70% of the items you buy before you can buy more. That's 70%
Self-reported.
rule.
Is it self-reported?
Oh,
It's not like anyone goes through their house.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
And then the third one is the buyback rule. So they enable people to, sell their products back if they don't sell them, which of course would deter a company from being a pyramid scheme because you're saddling people with all these products. And if they can just give them back to you and you have to give their money back, then that would be hard, right?
Yeah.
Of course, nobody cracks Amway's books to see if this is actually happening, right? And in these other cases, they had opened the books of Holiday Magic and Costco and seen how, like, in Costco, they didn't even have makeup for the first year that they were in business, right? They had no products.
Yeah.
So there was just all these ways that you could see people were really being rewarded,
Yeah.
but based on recruiting. In Amway, they really just took the company's word for it. And they accepted that the company said, oh, we don't keep records.
Okay. We're the only company in the world that doesn't keep
Exactly.
records.
They don't keep the records that the FTC asked for, which would be like, what are people making? What are people buying?
Yeah.
And so that's basically the only federal regulation that exists to this day. And because Reagan is so in bed with these people, and then Bush 1 also, they really back Bush 1, and by now the Amway founders are billionaires. They have a yacht.
man.
They're building new space for the RNC, the Republican National Committee. Like they're very much big donors, and so there's not a single prosecution against a pyramid scheme company through those two terms. So 15 years, we just have MLM exploding, and then we start going after certain pyramid companies in the 90s. But just one by one-offs. No one is taking on the business model itself and like, hey, these hypothetical rules, do they actually exist? Has anyone ever tested them?
Yeah, have you ever talked to anyone and all the people you spoke to about this? Anyone that worked for Amway that was able to get a buyback?
Buyback rules have so many loopholes, right? You have to resell them after a certain time. You have to sell them back exactly in the same condition. You still are paying tax and shipping, right? On the retail amount to send it back. So you're still losing money. So there's just so many different ways that the buyback doesn't work.
It's also, I think, really important to imagine what state of mind someone would be in before they would initiate this buyback, which is, it kind of parallels people who have been conned, and that being the most underreported crime there is confidence schemes, because the person's embarrassed that they got conned, so they don't report it. Likewise, you would be at the point where you were saying, I failed at this. I have all this shit in my closet. You're not at your like most robust. You're feeling like a failure, and you probably want to forget this whole thing happened.
And in the olden days when we hadn't gone online yet, you really were buying from a person, your sponsor. You were actually going to pick up the products from their house.
Yeah.
And so the buyback would go through them. And so the idea that you're going to go to your sponsor who's been like
your friend, really.
Exactly, and most likely berating you to do better for weeks. That
Or
you're
like
gonna
your
go,
mom.
Exactly, that you're going to go show up to her and be like, Mom, I failed. Give me my money back. And it's her paying you, right? Because now it's all done online. And so you're buying just from the company. They ship it to you directly. And you're just, the downline is all digital. So it's like if I buy from Monica in the system, that's what's important, is that Monica brought me in. And so you're still getting paid based on my purchases, but like you don't have to do the admin like that. But you could see why in the 70s and 80s. And there's a great short-lived Showtime show that is basically supposed to be Amway, or a company that looks like Amway, called On Becoming a God in Central Florida. It starred Kirsten Dunst and Alexander Skarsgård. It was so good. It was right before the pandemic. It was supposed to have a second season. And you can see her, like Kirsten Dunst takes on the business, and she really is the salesman, and people are coming to buy from her.
Yeah.
And you can just, it's a great depiction of why it doesn't work in practice, and no one has ever really, the FTC didn't go observe it in practice. They just accepted it. And so we're just downstream from that decision being the only thing that mattered.
Yeah. So after Mary Kay, I want to talk about Monique because I think that's a really compelling story, and I want to save time for her. But where does Herbalife fit into this? And how big are these companies? Like, what are we talking about?
Well, again, we don't really. I mean, there's so little
private.
oversight, and they're private, and so even Herbalife, which is publicly traded, all their data is just on their distributors and what the distributors buy. And they buy. So if you're investing in the stock, you're like, okay.
Yeah.
You know, and so they have data on that.
What's really funny is I guess it would be inevitable. There's so many companies that have tried this. They're making so many different products. What's really comical almost is when one of them actually could be a business.
Right.
Like Herbalife.
Yeah.
Could be AG.
We have a friend who sells Herbalife.
Well, uses it. I don't know if sells.
In Herbalife now, because Herbalife was, and we're getting a little ahead of ourselves, but Herbalife was fined by the FTC for being effectively a pyramid scheme. They didn't use those words, but in the FTC complaint, every function of a pyramid scheme they were accused of, and they were fined $200 million.
Whoa.
And they had to restructure their business. And so now it is a little easier to be what's called a preferred customer in Herbalife and buy the products on a kind of subscription model. But there's a lot of ways they get around that, and I've been watching them, and I'm like, you guys, this is not good.
But it is funny to think of someone starting it with the full intention of just having a business that makes money off of its employees, and then going like, oh God, we kind of have a hit product here. Should we also try to
should we just like be legitimate?
Yeah.
I do want to call out the fact that they're not employees, right? Which is really important because they're independent contractors. So that's another way we don't have oversight here because these are not employees.
They're like 1099.
Exactly. And so that already just gives you so much leeway because these are not your full-time employees. You don't pay benefits on them. Herbalife is started in 1980 by this guy, Mark Hughes, who actually is, as a child, is in one of these schools related to Synanon.
Oh, yes. I love Synanon.
Yes.
What's Synanon?
Remember I was talking all about it. It was this guy that was from AA, and he started a program to help junkies, and they had the game. They played the game, which is this group therapy where you scream at each other.
Yeah.
And it was so effective. People that weren't junkies wanted to join. And
it was like culty.
Great documentary.
And there's just a huge overlap between MLM because to stay in MLM really does rely on a lot of coercion.
Yes.
Which is why MLMs have been accused of being cults because there really is a lot of behavior that's similar to cults. And, you know, Keith Raniere, who started Nixium, learned Amway, and Nixium was multilevel marketing. Mm-hmm. Tony Robbins was basically taken in by this guy, Jim Rohn, who was an evangelical preacher from the Midwest. He was one of the original executives of that very first pyramid company, NutraBio, that I talked about.
Yeah.
He was banned from operating a chain selling scheme in the state of California, but he just spends a few decades, so that was the 70s, he just takes a break and then comes back to Herbalife as the kind of like chief, they call him the international business philosopher or something. And you can still see him, like clips of his sales basically sermons like going viral on TikTok.
Oh, wow.
Because he's very good at speaking about, being persistent and all this stuff. But anyway, so him and a bunch of other guys who were involved in NutraBio and Holiday Magic helped Mark Hughes start Herbalife in the 1980s. He worked for a company called Golden Youth, which was run by this guy, Larry Huff, who if you just Google him and Attorney General of California, he's been banned from 1 million pyramid companies. Wow. I don't think he's living anymore. But anyway, so Mark Hughes just learned the plan.
They're just grifters.
Yeah.
They moved to a different market.
Exactly. And Mark being like a kid in Synanon who was then basically pimped out to like, there's a little anecdote people love telling about him that he like visited Ronald Reagan when Reagan was the governor of California and like got him to donate to this school. Like, he was very charismatic, but it's all like to make money. And clearly this is a very vulnerable guy. And Mark Hughes' whole thing was that his mom was an addict and died of, basically being obese. That was the story they told at the time. Remember, this is the 80s. So like the way this is being talked about is like really gross in a way. We wouldn't talk about it now.
Yeah.
He's like, now I run this supplement company and it's all about like lose weight now, ask me how.
Oh boy.
And then he, in 2000, he dies of himself of an overdose. So while he's telling this story of being like a health nut, and Herbalife just like explodes and everyone's doing it and celebrities and all this stuff, he has this mansion in Malibu and he dies of an overdose.
Man.
And so Herbalife is just directly related to all these old companies.
I want to talk about the Christian element of it. And in my own anecdotal experience, a lot of the people that have approached me with different MLM products learned about it in church.
Yep.
Yeah, so I want to cover that, and I also want to cover this kind of maybe MLM in disguise, which is like now with remote working, and there's also like it's been rebranded a bit. So hit me with the Christian aspect.
From the very beginning, like the Nutrilite guys definitely considered themselves Christian. And interestingly, one of them was a Christian scientist, which is really interesting.
We just learned a lot about that the other day.
And this idea that you could really you can impact your physical world with your mind, right?
Yeah.
That is like a huge part of MLM from the very beginning. Multiple marketers associate themselves with this guy who writes a book called Think and Grow Rich. That book is all about like literally meditating on money.
It's like The Secret.
The Secret, absolutely. And this guy, Norman Vincent Peale, who writes The Power of Positive Thinking in the 50s, he goes on to become Donald Trump's pastor in Manhattan.
Okay.
At Marble Collegiate Church.
I guess I'm just delighted he had a pastor. I didn't even really think there was ever a
His
pastor.
dad loved this guy.
Okay.
And this book was The Secret of the 50s. Like it was a huge popular book and a bestseller. And so they loved coming. And this guy is saying, think positive. Do not think negative. It doesn't matter what's happening around you. Yeah. You can literally just create your own reality.
God, well, he's done it.
There you go.
Yeah.
And then from the very beginning, this is an MLM. Like meditate on the car. Literally put a picture of the car on your fridge. Put it in your drawer. Think about it. The Cadillac.
I've done a vision board.
Yeah,
Yes,
it's a vision board.
It's very much a part of it. So that's like the mystical side, and then on the actual Christian side, like organized, more of a traditional Christianity rather than Christian Science, which is only a 200 something years old and an American kind of version of Christianity. The Calvinists and Amway, hugely they're using churches.
Well, it's a great place to network, right?
Exactly.
Yeah.
And this even one FTC economist who I spoke to who was raised in Grand Rapids, he actually met DeVos and Van Andel in church. So these communities are ripe for the picking, basically.
Yeah, prosperity, whatever they call it.
Yeah, the prosperity gospel. Yeah.
Plus community, plus person in front of you that has attained it.
Yeah, there's an Amway sect that I know that is operating out of a church in Brooklyn and Long Island.
Wow. Yeah.
And people are brought in thinking that it's something else because also these companies don't have to say it's Amway or say it's Herbalife or say it's whatever because they're independent contractors. So you can use your own name.
Oh my God.
So you can call it like, I'm in Freedom Legends or I'm in like Sales Stars or I'm in a group called like Rise Legends. Like they're all really corny.
Yeah.
Wow.
And so maybe you're in church and you're like, come to this, stay after for Rise Legends, where we talk about self-development. And so then they'll start saying, well, you should buy mentoring, and the mentoring is buying into.
Well, it's also a group that is, by definition, like not skeptical.
Yeah.
Religious people.
Yes.
Like they are there to like buy in and take what is, things at face value.
Yeah. Or maybe even if you are skeptical, you're taught not to voice that, right? Because I think a lot of people are
keep it on the shelf.
Way more skeptical than you think. But they're keeping quiet. And I actually spoke to so many people who were like, we're afraid to be rude. Like that's why they stay. And that's why church is such a insidious environment because people are supposed to be being kind to each other. And you're not going to, when someone approaches you, your instinct is not to be like, whoa, this is scammy and weird. It's to be like, oh, we have this fellowship and to respond in fellowship and stay for the meeting.
Yeah.
It's the whole thing's driven on being nice because the people who have pitched me, I've had a Cutco knife demonstration done for me. I've had the acai berry pitch or whatever.
Oh, yeah, that drink.
Mona V.
Oh, Mona V. Those guys are
I've
from
sat-
Amway. Those are just Amway guys.
Yeah, I've sat through those, and it's like, here's someone I love.
Mona V.
trying
Oh my
their-
God.
trying their
$90
best.
acai juice.
So another sad, unavoidable pattern you see is these tend to explode when the economy's bad.
Yeah, from the very beginning, and that's why they exploded in the 70s because inflation was so bad and unemployment rose so much in the 70s. So you just had people like pouring into these companies and they did it in the dot-com boom, in the 2000s where they said, oh, these are home-based digital businesses or network marketing. That's when they started using these different terms. And then, of course, during the Great Recession, same thing. That's when Trump lent his name to this supplement company, which was called Ideal Health, and he rebranded as the Trump Network. And he's literally saying, this is how you're going to survive the recession. If you've been laid off, like do this. And then, of course, the pandemic being the most recent moment where they always get this little boom of participation because people are falling for this pitch of like, you don't have to have a degree. You don't have to have $10,000 to invest in some business. All you need is $400, $199 to start your starter kit, and then they'll immediately ask you for $1,000.
Yeah. You have more control.
And and that's the thing that I think is really what it's getting into is like the desire for control. And like you said, people are feeling buffeted by these forces that are way bigger than them, and they have this sense of feeling wronged and injustice, and that's what's so really scary and I think just so dark about it is that instead of like channeling that to change something and to sort of like find others who are in a similar place as you and maybe do something about it and organize, it's all inward. And it teaches you to channel that inward and say, I can fix myself.
I know, it's sad.
And I can take myself out of this.
Yeah, the fuel source for it is really a sad one that I have great sympathy for. And you explicitly say it in the book, which is there's a significant portion of the country that has just great distrust. And I think it's largely driven by income inequality. It's like you're looking at all these people that have all this stuff constantly, and now it's only exacerbated by Instagram and other ways to monitor people's life. And there's just this kind of, I think, collective sense of like something's unfair here. And this seems like a way to right the scales.
Hack the system.
And what's so crazy about that and why like the subtitle of the book is literally How the Pyramid Scheme Shaped America is because those dynamics that we talked about where there's only a fraction of people succeeding and more people are participating, but more and more people are losing, that is actually what's happening to the economy in terms of income and how a fraction of just a few people in this country are making so much more and keeping so much more than everyone paying in.
Yeah, it's a microcosm for our entire system.
And what
really.
MLM does is instead of looking at that and thinking, hey, why is this the way that it is? And maybe we could do something about that. It's keep going and maybe you'll get in that club one day. And we're all just trying to get into that fractional club instead of looking at the whole shape and saying, well, does it have to be this way? And is there a way that the distribution could be fairer? And what's so crazy and makes you kind of put your tinfoil hat on is the Amway founders and other people in multiple marketing have politically pushed and contributed to the policies that have made that inequality more stark, right? Like bringing down the marginal tax rate, fighting any kind of wealth tax, right? Which would take some of those profits and put them back in. And then tearing apart those social welfare systems that do give you something to fall back on then and that are equal, that everyone has access to, whether that's, they want to get rid of Social Security, to, pulling apart public education. All of that is to sort of get rid of those collective safety nets that we all share and kind of push this Wild West where you can make a lot of money if you're willing to exploit a lot of people.
I hate to add this to the fire, but I was just at a conference, a lot of AI people and in that space, and I was saying to someone, you know, all these products are making all these companies so much more efficient. They're like, people are wholesale cutting like 30% of their workforce already, replacing with AI. And I was like, wow, if you model this out, the only human in the whole scenario that will benefit from this is whoever owned the company when we started making it efficient. And then it's over. You know, there's not even a way to enter and climb. It's just like, oh no, it was already a pyramid. Now it's going to be a fucking straight line. There'll be one person with this enormous company that's being run by all this AI. So it's like, it's going to accelerate.
I think that isn't far-fetched at all. And if we go all the way back to the beginning, to the people that invented this and this idea that one of them had, that we know he had about eugenics and about the idea that people are expendable and that people are some people are cogs in an efficient machine, right? That's not that far off from how MLM operates when it's successful. And that's why Monique's story is so important, because you see how she is the most successful in that company when she is just paying in and doing no thinking herself and doing not caring about herself at all, just paying into the system and is like literally functionally a cog. You know, that's why the idea that MLM is so corrosive, and that if you're not at the top, you really are functionally, mathematically, you have to be losing.
Yeah. So Monique was in the Air Force for 17 years. She gets out. She's on a retirement. I mean, it's like a stipend. It's $1,200 a month is her retirement from the Air Force, which is her rent.
Yeah.
And she's wildly depressed. She's directionless. She's sleeping 15 hours a day. That career has ended, and she's kind of at a loss of what to do. And someone, was it a church friend? No, it was she was in Florida, and she tried to join this sort of like business networking group where she would meet people and maybe get a job. And so this woman in Mary Kay meets her there. This woman asked her repeatedly, would you like a facial? Yeah, a facial, which is so weird because the Mary Kay women aren't facialists. Like, to be a facialist, you have you have to.
Yeah, there's training.
Yeah, there's training and a certification.
Yeah.
They just teach you how to put makeup on. Which again, in this day and age, she joins in 2013. In 2013, we already had Sephora and Ulta.
Right.
The idea that you're gonna buy makeup from this lady in a pink, it's just so antiquated.
If she's super lucky, a pink Cadillac.
Right. So she meets this woman, and she gets the facial, and what I wanted to really make sure was out there was like I was saying earlier, it was a weird thing. She didn't love it, right? It was awkward.
I thought this is weird.
But then she invites her to this party, and she doesn't know anyone in Florida. And so she goes, and there's food at the party, and she's hungry.
Oh, gosh.
And they pray, and she is looking to kind of find her way back to religion, because she was raised a Baptist, I think, and, wants to feel closer to God again. And Mary Kay is very explicitly Christian. And they pray, and she just feels so much love
and community.
And she signs on for that starter kit, which is $199. And then from there, we just chart her journey, and right away, they get her to buy an $1,800 wholesale order, because they say that's what star consultants do, and they have all these phrases you can't sell from an empty basket and all this stuff. And she is basically spending $400 to $1,000 a month for a decade.
And she's living on $1,200 and she owes rent.
Yep.
For a decade.
For a decade. And she does things they encourage her to, talk about how successful she's being. Meanwhile, they know that the VA, her retirement benefits are what's sustaining her, barely. She's taken on a huge amount of debt. And she has bought a house, but she's done it with a VA loan, so not with Mary Kay, but her uplines are convincing her to,
it's that.
You tell your why in MLM, why are you and what are you getting out of it? Whether it's I get to be with my kids, or I bought a house, or I pay for school or whatever. And hers is I bought this house, even though they know that it's a lie. And she's just spending. And they tell her, keep your eye on the horizon. It's an investment. And nowadays, the whole entrepreneur self-help world really helps these MLM people because they'll just show you a video where some entrepreneur is talking about how he like lost $1 million in his first year of business. And so they're just telling you like, don't think of it as a loss, it's an investment.
Right.
Or an entrepreneur is saying how he never went to college, right? Because MLM is telling you don't go to college, invest here, small business. And so that's what they're doing with her the whole time.
Does she build a downline of any?
She really only recruits like a handful of people, and then those people
out.
recruit. And at a certain point, she reaches a rank where you have to have like a group of 24. And Mary Kay has this crazy qualification where eventually you have to sort of get to the next rung. You have to all be buying like several thousands worth a month, and you like push and recruit. And it's all to then, you know, walk across this stage and get this sash and a recognition at this convention, which I went to in 2023. But everyone is just buying, and like everyone knows it. And Monique still to this day has all this stuff in her
Yeah, how
house.
much? She just must have thousands of items.
Yeah. Yeah.
And all these people, like, I wonder, I would love to x-ray the whole country and just see, like, how much of this product is sitting in the salespeople's
People's garage.
homes.
Yeah.
Like, I bet all these
Yeah.
people are just storing all this
Yeah.
fucking
Oh
product.
yeah, well that's why, especially if you know somebody that sells it, like they're using it all the time because they have to, because they have so much around, you know?
Yeah. Putting on the makeup 3 times a day to try.
Yeah, and you know, she really gets out of it though, like feeling love, feeling self-worth, feeling
Yes.
like she has a purpose and
She
a
has a
place
purpose.
in this country.
She has peers.
Yeah, and so much of being American, right, is this idea that we can transform our circumstances. Like that is why that's the American dream and that's the American story. It's like we live in a democracy. We don't have royalty. We don't have these fixed hierarchies. We don't have nobility. Where you're born is not where you're going to die. And so that's really what she's trying to do. And she's a Black woman, you know, raised in poverty.
Yeah.
And she's like, I'm gonna, you know, it's really incredibly noble. What she's trying to do is like
Yeah, it
build
is.
something for herself. You know, she's taking care of family members, and
She served her country.
exactly, she
Like, what the-
served her damn country, and instead, you know, she's being like funneled into this horrifying dystopia, like just like you said earlier, where she is actually just this little, they're feeding off of her every month. And I do think there are some people, I know there are some people that would come on and say, I have a really successful business, I have all these recruits, they're really happy. But I really would challenge them, and I know they wouldn't because they never do, but if you really opened your books as a successful multi-level marketer and you see all your recruits and how much they're buying and how much they're actually making in an income, maybe you have a few on your downline who are also really successful recruiters and they're making money. But if you really open your books, you're just going to have masses churning in and out just like her who are buying. And your success is reliant on that.
Their failures.
And I would just challenge those people to really look at like, what is your success actually built on if it requires people to fail? And, you know, again, I think those people would say, well, they weren't good at it.
We're at, I think, this inflection where it's like, oh yeah, that like just get yours. This country of being a country of just go get yours is kind of untenable and heartbreaking and has tons and tons of wreckage surrounding it.
Yeah.
But there are still a lot of us, even where I came from in my very blue collar town, it was like you just had to get ahead. It was survival. You just had to fucking get ahead. And yeah, if someone was failing below you, I don't think there was an ethical dilemma in that. It was just like everyone's on the bottom. We must crawl out of this barrel, and you got to get yours. And it's a defendable point of view if you're
if everyone's at the bottom.
desperate.
if you're
Yes,
a desperate
exactly.
person. So I think a good chunk of the country still feels like, yeah, get yours and that's it.
Absolutely. And this is why MLM is such a useful story to be telling. And first of all, it's not just right wing. Like MLM has
Right.
been, you know, bipartisan for a long time. Like the FTC, you know, finding of Herbalife that allowed the company and the business model to stay around was under Obama, right? So this is not just like a Reagan thing or a right wing
Yeah.
thing or Bush, whatever. And the reason I think that it persists is because that story that this American style capitalism and the thing that we do in the free market that sort of meets out everyone's fate is ultimately fair and just. And we are in a democracy, and we are living out that dream, and that everything is that the meritocracy is still working, right? The people that have so much more than everyone else, they got there fairly, and that it's not something that should be possibly changed, right? We shouldn't have a class war. We shouldn't even have a class discussion of like whether this is fair, right?
Yeah.
I mean, that's a really useful story for all kinds of elites on both sides of the aisle, and always has been, because, you know, the booms and busts that you asked about, like why does MLM flourish in a dark economic time? Like, we have these moments where capitalism is not working for all of us in the way that it's being practiced here. And it's not, it is creating that sense of unrest, and that things are not fair and things are rigged. And MLM just, again, seeds on the ground among individuals in their living rooms, in their churches, that it's still fair. You just keep grinding, just keep going. It's going to work out for you.
It'd be interesting to see, because mostly this is, in the book at least, this has historically really preyed on women uniquely. But it's interesting to imagine the flip that is ahead for us when you have 20-some% of 20-year-old boys unemployed.
Well, right. And you could say that crypto is the MLM for men, when they're not just straight up gambling and being addicted to gambling sites. Just doing lotteries, which is, you know, why just bypass
high-tech scratchers.
Bypass the whole thing altogether. And, you know, what you were talking about, basically the Gilded Age, right? Yeah. Where Get Yours was a matter of policy.
It was your moral, actually.
We were in the Wild West of like those robber barons. The reason they're called the robber barons is they were robbing, right? They were fighting. They were, you know, they were calling police on horses and shooting into crowds of workers when they were doing strikes, right? This is like before the New Deal, before the sort of modern era of worker-employer relations, where we had some boundaries on what private companies and capitalists could do. And that's why we have child labor laws. That's why we have the right to organize a union. That's why we have all of these things. And for a while after the New Deal, in this American era where MLM was conceived, that stuff was something to be prideful about, right? Like GM, like Ronald Reagan was a spokesperson for GM when like the union at GM was really important. And of course, there were all kinds of ways that GM was always trying to undercut the workers, because of course their interests are different. Yes. But like the idea that like there were wage laborers who had rights was a point of pride, and was something that, you know, we then built the welfare state on those rights too, you know, that you could then, you know, if you were GI, you could go to college on the GI Bill, or you could go to a public school, right? These are things that like everyone has access to. It's the opposite of Get Yours. And of course, again, lots of flaws in all of these systems, lots of flaws in Social Security, but like the idea of it is that we all have access. And there isn't a like, it's not Darwinian. It's not you only get it if you can get it. And so these guys who built MLM already in the 40s, they're trying to reverse that. They're trying to actually then seed this idea that actually, no. Let's go back to the Get Yours. Let's go back to the Wild West. Yeah. And that instead of it being, you know, they're very honest that they want to rebrand this free market, deregulation, that Wild West, rebrand it as it's not a place where everyone's being hurt. It's not a violent place. It's not that, you know, the ferry boats aren't crashing, but actually it's like, that's how we're going to be freer. That's how we're going to get democracy, and how we're going to get ultimately, we will all benefit. And of course, trickle down, literally, that's the idea, right? That if we let these people accumulate as much wealth as possible,
you all be rich.
We will all get it. And that's what's happening. And like, again, not to put the tinfoil hat on, but like,
I know
so many people seem ready to accept that story.
Where is it?
So many people. It's only in America where you have like people paying into Amway $400 a month. I talked to one woman who, by the end, she and her husband, he worked in an oil field. They had a little baby. They're budgeting $20 a week for their groceries because of how much they're spending on Amway. And they are looking at the fact that the Amway families have a yacht.
Right.
They have their own family office because they have so much money. Their kids will never work. Their kids' will never work. This is an American dynasty. These are royals.
Yeah.
They will not work. And they're just thinking, like, how I'll get there one day. They're like, I'm so proud of this yacht. And of course, this woman has since left, and she's kind of like basically done cult deprogramming. But like, only in America, I think, are you not getting in the streets being like, excuse me.
Yeah.
This will not stand. Like, we're just all getting back to posting, being like, hey guys, I have an amazing offer for you, this incredible opportunity.
Yeah.
I know.
Like, that's where we're at.
Oh boy.
This is a wild topic.
It is a wild topic. I'm
So
delighted you wrote
interesting.
this book, and it is crazy how little existed on this topic as you endeavored it.
I feel like it's 5 books, 10 books, because there's so many little rabbit holes to go down, and you know, you could just, there's so many. I hope people write more books, honestly, on this, because I feel like I scratched the surface.
Yeah, and what we left out, we give a very thorough history of MLMs, but your book is just full of personal stories that are really, really compelling and heartbreaking.
And of course, I went to the convention and saw this in person and spoke to a corporate employee who told me, you know, this was the Mary Kay convention, she said, we don't track what people are selling. We only track what they're buying. It's very clear that this is the way that this is set up, and I just think more people should know that.
Yeah. Oh, I want to leave everyone on this. You in a different interview, the interviewer asked you, like, what would you recommend to people do when they're getting pitched these? And it may be a little bit counterintuitive, but your advice is you're doing them the best favor by not buying it now. You're accelerating. Please elaborate. I'm not going to botch.
You know, when people like humor their sister or friend and buy one of these products, they think they're helping them out. But yeah, I mean, you're just prolonging their involvement, because like we were saying earlier, once you get through if you're in the A list, once they get through you and then the B list and the C, they're going to just run out, and they're going to recruit and maybe stay longer or buy more.
Yeah.
Because of course, what's documented in the book is also people just buy, right? So even if you can't recruit, you'll buy for somebody and just put it on your credit card if they can't afford it, just to sort of get
Keep
the
your sheet
rewards.
looking
Exactly.
good.
Keep your place in the downline. And so, yeah, just contributing at all is keeping that hope alive. I think the faster somebody sees the reality, the faster they will get out.
A direct and obvious parallel is like, you shouldn't loan someone $30 to get high again.
Yeah,
You want to try to accelerate
Yeah.
them having to confront that.
Exactly. It's all gamified. And I think that impulse has been increased in all of us to respond to a gamified environment. So we're all even more vulnerable to this idea that we're going to like get ahead. And so, yeah, just stop it at the pass and just don't buy it.
Yeah. Well, Bridget, this has been incredibly interesting. Everyone should check out Little Bosses Everywhere, How the Pyramid Scheme Shaped America. Yeah, it's kind of like a smidgen of a glimpse of an aspect of our country that is very much fractal of our whole setup. Yeah.
Yes.
It's got larger implications than even MLMs. So thank you so much. This has been a blast.
Yeah, thank you.
Thank you
Always
guys.
take a leave D or whatever one you took before interviews. You were on fire. Yeah.
Speed works for me, I guess.
Always be on Clarendon D. All right, be well. Hi there, this is Hermie and Permium. If you like that, you're going to love the fact check with Miss Monica. Is there places you wouldn't wear that shirt? Be honest.
There's nowhere I wouldn't wear this shirt.
A funeral. A wedding. A christening.
No, I'd wear it to a christening. I would wear it to a wedding with a big ball gown skirt.
Oh, and a Rolling Stones t-shirt?
Yeah, and in a funeral, I'd wear it under a black
Blazer?
blazer and black pants.
Okay.
But this person who's passed really appreciates the Stones.
That was their favorite band. That's a high percentage chance to take. I have bad news to share with you.
What?
I don't know what the solution is. I don't know if I have to move and put the house up for sale or order another engine, but I had made a promise to my family that they would not be out on the lake and come across anyone with a faster pontoon boat.
Uh-oh.
And that I can't say that anymore in good conscience. You know, was exploring, saw someone with a huge yard, right? I'm like, oh my God, that person has 30 acres on the lake. The house was astronomical. So we're just snooping around the shore and looking at this impossible piece of property and how do they mow it? You know, those are the kind of questions you ask on a boat. Like, how are they mowing that? That looks steep on the side. I'd like to somehow be out here when they're mowing it next time. All that to say, we come around they're on this huge peninsula, and we come around the side to where we see where their boats are at. And oh my God, there it was, 25-foot pontoon boat. I have one 400 horsepower V10. This had two 450 horsepower outboards, 900 horsepower compared to my 400. So I don't know what my move is. I don't know if I should sabotage his boat, ask him to move, sell our house, order. I told Aaron I was going to order a 501 horsepower engine for one side so that I have 1 horsepower more than that. Man or woman, I shouldn't assume it's a man.
You got to get off the treadmill, man.
Yeah, I can't be number one.
We can't all be number one. We can't all be the best. He's the best, and that's that.
Well, okay, minimally, I'd like to put a small tracker on the boat so that I know if he or she is out on the lake, because I would like to avoid being out there at any point that they're out there.
Okay.
Okay?
I don't understand, but I hear you, and I respect your words. Okay, when I come visit, can we watch What Lies Beneath and really get in the lake mood?
Oh, for sure. We should really think about all the lake movies. We could do On Golden Pond. I guess that's supposed to be good.
That feels
sounds like
boring.
It sounds like homework, doesn't it?
On the waterfront. Yeah, I don't want to do that.
Yeah, on the waterfront, not lake, more longshoreman.
You know I'm against that movie.
So just What Lies Beneath, I guess? Okay.
Sure.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
Or isn't in, I don't think I've seen Sleeping with the Enemy, but doesn't she like learn how to swim?
Oh, to escape him?
Yeah, she's secretly like learning how to swim.
Is that Julia Roberts?
Yeah.
And she moves to like a southern town, right?
I don't know, but I think we need to watch that.
I'll watch it.
Have you heard about the doc on the poop boat, like a cruise where everyone pooped everywhere?
Shipwreck or something? I keep seeing it pop up on new releases on Netflix. You haven't watched it?
Yeah. I have not watched it because it feels like, how dare I spend my time, my precious time, watching some people pooping everywhere.
Yeah, I watched the trailer and in a very functional cruise ship pulls up alongside of them to like, I guess, ferry on some supplies. And the other cruise ship is like blasting music and partying. They're having fun. They're on a cruise. And the other cruise is there's no toilets and they're all staring at the partying boat. And they're not happy that they're partying. And then I thought, well, what should they do? Be miserable because you're miserable? They should party. But people don't
also,
like
what
that.
happened? Were they stuck out there? Like, why were they stuck?
Yeah, I think there was just like a lot of mechanical failures all at once. Yeah.
Ugh. I guess I should watch it.
Let's both aim to watch it. Or you could watch it when you come.
Oh, yeah. Okay, let's add that to... Oh, that's a water.
The kids are intrigued because of the poop. That's got their interest piqued, yeah.
Yeah, obviously. I have a question for you.
About my neighbors?
No.
Okay.
2 questions in the similar category. Do you say, when you hear the phrase, it's all downhill from here,
yeah,
what does it mean to you?
Well, it's interesting. I think we have talked about it. It sounds good and also bad. It's a very confusing saying.
So how would you use it?
Well, it's all downhill from here is positive. It's all downhill is bad.
Oh, I see. Okay.
Isn't that interesting? Like from here means we've peaked. We're at the peak and we're going to get to coast down.
Uh-huh.
But it's going to be all downhill. Sounds like things are going to get worse.
Right. And in some ways, even if you say it's all downhill from here, it still could be worse because it's like you're at the top of the mat. You're at the top.
Mm-hmm.
And so it's
That's
all
where you wanna
downhill from
be.
here.
Everyone wants to be at the
Yeah.
top. But I like a valley. I like a valley a lot. I think I'm
Oh,
in the
my.
Ohio River Valley or the Tennessee Valley. I like it.
Yeah, but then you're in the valley, but you have to climb to the top to get to the next.
No, I'm all done. I don't have to climb to the top anymore.
Oh, you just live in the valley.
Yeah, that's the transition in life I'm at. There's no more peaks, just valley living.
I think I use it negatively. I know I do. I've never said it's all downhill from here in a positive way.
Right.
Like, ugh, it was all downhill from there.
And it was all downhill from there.
And it was bad. And I say it like, ugh.
Ugh. Okay, back to my neighbors who you wanted to know about.
Oh.
They're so friendly. We have been delivered 2 pies, just like you would expect from the South. They delivered 2 completely delicious warm peach pies.
Wow, that's a ding, ding, ding. I made a peach galette yesterday.
What's a galette?
Freeform pie. We've already discussed this. You
Oh,
refuse to commit it to memory.
Okay.
The inside is a little open, but there's crusts on the sides.
That sounds nice. You made another one of those yesterday?
I did. I'm going to serve it tonight for Mahjong.
Oh, are you hosting or attending?
Hosting. And actually, when we were on the trip, I got a real BMI bonnet for Mahjong. I forgot it.
Okay.
I forgot my set. And I was really looking forward to playing it on the trip with people.
Yeah.
And so I got really upset and I was like, we have to find Mahjong. You can't find it. Like if you,
It's not just for sale. Yeah.
Yeah. And so I was calling all these antique stores to see if they had any Mahjong sets.
Did you
'cause
look
there's a
on
lot of
Amazon?
vintage stuff there. I did, but it wouldn't deliver by then.
Okay.
By the time we left. It wasn't like next day delivery. So I call all these antique stores. No one has it, but they're all so friendly. They're like, sorry, babe.
Yeah.
And then we go on Facebook Marketplace. Never been on it before. Okay.
Yeah.
But we go on. There's somebody there in Palm Springs with a Mahjong set that we could get.
Yeah.
But we didn't want to go drive to get it, right? So we were going to send an Uber
Oh, wow.
to get it
Okay.
and bring it to us.
I would have been most excited about going to the person's house and seeing who's selling the Mahjong.
Well, we were just having too much fun.
You're
We
having
didn't
to
want
it.
to leave.
Okay.
So this created a dilemma, another dilemma like downhill from here, where the lady who was selling it was like, okay, you need to Zelle me before I put it in the Uber.
Right.
And we were like, no, we're not Zelling until we have it.
Oh, wow.
And I understand both points of view.
Sure. Yeah, yeah.
Because she's like, I can't just put it in an
Yeah, it's gone
Uber
for
and not
good.
have money.
Yeah.
Yeah, but then for us, same situation.
Right. So what'd you do?
We didn't follow up.
Oh, okay. Okay. And at that point, they must have thought, well, yeah, they were trying to scam us out of our Mahjong.
Yeah.
But that's pretty funny to assume someone would send an Uber to steal a Mahjong. How much was the Mahjong set? Are they more than I think?
I mean, my current one is like $400.
Whoa, really?
Yeah. Yeah,
Oh,
it's expensive.
how would they want on
I mean,
Marketplace?
this one wasn't. I think it was cheaper. I think it was in the like between $100 and $200 range.
Okay. I'm just killing a fly or attempting to. I don't have enough rag.
Okay.
Do you see what little bit of rag I'm working with? That's not really
Yeah,
enough
that looks
to
like
kill.
Hermes.
It's to clean my glasses, not to kill flies.
Anyway, so that was a big dilemma, which led to no Mahjong. And so I'm playing tonight, and there will be a peach galette.
Oh, lovely. And does it get better or worse in the fridge over the night?
This is the big question. I'm scared it's going to be bad. So I also have another pie crust in the wings waiting in case I need to make that tonight. Did you eat the pie that the neighbors brought?
Yes,
You didn't.
it was delicious. The pies were so fresh. I mean, the peaches were so fresh.
Listen, you are shaking your head no, and we are on video.
Well, I ate around it, like Jess. I ate the peaches. I couldn't have the other stuff, but I ate around it. And the peach,
Okay.
and she seemed fine with that.
Oh, she came over and watched you eat it?
No, the pie.
Yeah, the pie lady watched you eat it?
No. Just the pie felt fine with how I ate around it.
Okay. Okay. Listen, just so you know,
Yeah.
I probably shouldn't break this to you, although maybe you're allowed to have it. Those peaches probably had cornstarch.
Not these ones. These were so fresh.
Yeah, they did. No, that's how you make it. Trust me, I've made 2 in the past 2 weeks.
Okay, do you remember we just had a chef on?
Yes,
Brilliant.
Curtis Duffy.
Yes, Curtis Duffy, the brilliant chef. And he talked about that he would have his staff make him chocolate bakes.
Yes.
So I have been talking about that out loud and saying how bad I wanted chocolate bakes with almond butter.
Oh.
And Kristen made them.
Oh.
And here's a shocker. They're better even with almond butter. I was expecting to not have the thing from my childhood that I crave so much. No, it's even better with almond butter. You should really look into making some chocolate bakes with almond butter. You wouldn't believe what a hit they are.
I don't think I've had a chocolate bake.
Oh, well, I bet you'll have some when you visit here because I got a hunch these are going to be on high rotation. My diet has gone in the toilet now that I'm in the South. I think a lot of people could have predicted that.
Sure.
But yes, I've been on a real sweets train. We got the peach pie I ate around. Then I got the chocolate
right,
bakes.
that you barely
I
ate.
ate
Okay.
the whole thing, ate the ass of. And then And then I've had Dairy Queen. There's a Dairy Queen in town. And then there's a really cute new custard shop, frozen custard.
Called?
Oh, it's got a name like Jimmy's or something. I don't know. It's very popular.
It's start with a G?
Maybe.
Oh, it's new.
It's brand new.
There's a frozen custard place that starts with a G in the South that's good.
Well, this could be it. This appears to be a chain, but it's brand spanking new. And that's another fun thing, Monica. Line around out the door, I don't know how long the line was, maybe 50 feet, 60 feet. There's a good 45 people in it. And I pulled up. Normally in LA, that would drive me nuts, right? I'd be like, oh, I'm not going. I'm not going to wait in line for an hour. And I was like, oh, I'm excited to wait in line. And it was so fun. And I just people watched and everyone was out to have an ice cream. So everyone was in a good mood. It's kind of like being at Disneyland. Remember when we took David to Disneyland? I'm like, where else can you go where people decided they're going to have a great day? Well, that's what was happening at this place. And I realized I loved hanging in line and Delta did too. We both had a really good time.
Okay, well, this is the opposite of what we were talking about with In-N-Out, where I said, yeah, part of it is the line. That's part of it.
You're right.
And you said no,
You're
and now
right.
here we are.
I know. And now we have a different circumstance, and I'm seemingly having the opposite opinion.
Very similar circumstance, but opposite opinion.
You're right.
Just saying.
There's no difference. Other than people that go to In-N-Out are often in a great mood, but they're often also just there because they're hungry. Maybe they're even cranky because they're hungry. This is
I'm going to get In-N-Out today.
We've already eaten, and now we're going to get dessert. And it's like what we're doing tonight, and we're outside.
I understand.
I love it.
I do. I love a summer ice cream moment. I love a summer ice cream moment. Do you guys have Brewster's there?
Oh, I haven't seen one. But I saw Zaxby's, your mom's restaurant. Doesn't your mom love Zaxby's?
No, that's mine. I love Zaxby's.
Oh, we have one.
I love Zaxby's.
Chicken?
Yes, it is Southern. Fried chicken.
But what's your mom loves? What's your mom's cafeteria? I was talking about it yesterday. I was looking at Zaxby's. Delta said, is that a such and such? And I said, no, I think it's a cafeteria. And then I think my father-in-law said, I think it's chicken. And there's a big, big picture of a chicken on it.
Yeah, and it's not a cafeteria.
It's not a cafeteria. I'm thinking that because of Nurmi. And that's why.
It is it's a fast food, Zaxby's is, but the cafeteria, you bring up Lubbies or something, but that's not what we don't have that there.
We don't have Lubbies.
She just likes all the cafeterias.
She just would love Lubbies or Lubies.
She would love it, yes.
Maybe Lubies even more than Lubbies.
No.
Oh, okay. You don't know how wild
postmenopausal.
Didn't you read on all fours?
I did.
She was having no problem, right? Getting creative.
She was perimenopause.
Oh. Okay. That's the horny section.
I don't want to think about any of that.
Stay tuned for more Armchair Expert. if you dare.
Let's take a minute to thank our presenting sponsor, Audible. With Audible, the leading audio entertainment app, it's easy to discover new stories and ideas while going about your day.
Yeah, and with over 1 million audiobooks, Audible originals, and more, it's basically impossible to run out of things to listen to. Plus, there's just something about audio storytelling that hits a little different.
Yeah, it really does, especially Audible originals that feature performances from celebrities and top voices. It's like watching a movie in your head. One on my list is Treasure Island.
Aha.
Which is an Audible original drama. It's a timeless tale of pirates, lost treasure, maps, and mutiny. What more could you need?
That sounds really fun. I'm more of a psychological thriller girl myself.
Yeah, you're dark.
Yeah, I'm dark and I'm broody. And I've been hearing all about the author Frida McFadden. And I love that I can listen to her audiobooks on the Audible app when I'm commuting, taking my walks, as you know, or just like doing laundry and chores.
Well, with Audible, you can find the genres you love and discover new ones. There's more to imagine when you listen. And to make it even better, Audible has a special offer for armchairies. Sign up for a free 30-day Audible trial, and your first audiobook is free. Visit audible.com/Dax. That's audible.com/Dax.
Anywho, okay, I have one more word riddle for you.
Oh, great.
Do you say, I'm going to turn the air down or I'm going to turn the air up?
Wow, I could definitely see where that's ripe for confusion.
Mm-hmm.
I would say I'm gonna turn the air down a bit. Oof.
Yeah.
Turn the air on. Turn the air up. I would say both, and they shouldn't work. What would you say?
I think I say turn it down.
Meaning you want it
Can we
colder?
turn the air down?
Or you want
Meaning
it
I
warmer?
want it colder. Oh, no. If I'm in the car, it's like, turn the air up.
Yeah, turn it up.
But in the car, that's tricky though, because in the car, often the knob, you are turning it up.
The fan speed, yeah.
The
The fan
fan
speed's
speed,
going
yeah.
up, but the temperature's going down. That's why it's
Correct.
inherently conflicting.
That's why this is a great riddle.
So maybe just we could clean it up by going make the air colder, make the air hotter.
Yeah, but that doesn't have the same ring to it.
That's true. We also like nuance and trying to guess. It's fun to not really know what anyone's talking about.
We love riddles.
Yeah.
Reading through the lines, mixed messages.
Reading between the lines, a lot of that.
I said reading through the lines.
I know. I don't think that's the same.
Same thing.
Yeah, same thing, though.
No, this is another riddle. What do you say? Between or through?
Betwixt. Do you think if we were in England, we'd say reading betwixt the lines?
I do.
Again, just to remind you, I've wanted to start using whilst, but I just can't figure it out. I love whilst.
You mean whilst?
Yeah, the English always say whilst.
I was reading whilst at the pool.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I love it. But when I try to say it, it doesn't work.
Okay. I want you to try to say it before the end of this episode.
I'll do it
Just-
whilst
okay?
we're conversing.
Not right now. Not
That worked out pretty good, though.
That was too fast.
Okay.
It's supposed to be a pop out.
What are you watching? What's your summer
I'm
watch?
struggling.
You are.
I'm struggling. Oh, you know what's fun though? So the New York Times had a list that they created of the 100 best movies. 100 best. See, I don't love it, but okay. 100 best movies.
There you go. 100.
Oh, I do love it.
100 best.
No, I do. I know, but I do love it because it's ranked. So there is a number one. 100 best movies of the 21st century. So since 2000.
Mm-hmm.
And then it was also like you submitted yours and your top 10, which was a fun game. Do you want to hear what mine were?
Yes, I would love to.
Mine are Eternal Sunshine.
Love it. Oh, you just thumbs
Get
up.
Out.
Okay.
Oh,
Yeah.
Eternal Sunshine, Get Out, The Social Network, Amelie, Ocean's 11, Interstellar, Moneyball, Royal Tenenbaums, The Worst Person in the World, Past Lives.
Okay, so I saw your list and I thought you were reposting the list because that list to me is what I thought the recently published best of list is. But that was your list.
That's my list.
Oh, wow. I was like, this is a good list and it's eclectic. It's not what I would expect from a poll of a magazine. So now I'm curious what the real list is because I thought that was the real.
I know.
Yeah, you tricked me.
Do you want me to read it?
The real list?
Yeah.
Just top 10. I don't want to hear 100 titles.
Dang, this happened at dinner in Palm Springs. I was excited to read the whole list and they made me, they didn't want that.
Yeah,
So
no one wants to
they
hear
did
100 items out loud. I don't
I
think
do.
no one wants to go even past 30. Like 20 would be the limit, I think.
Oh my God, you guys, I love lists. They let me start at 50 and everyone was really into it once I started.
Okay. At 50.
Number 100 is super bad. Just going to tell you that. Now, remember, this is only from 2000. That's why Good Will Hunting wasn't on mine.
25 years. Was Bottle Rocket 2000 or newer? I'll look that out on my own. I don't want you to leave that page. 96. Okay, so I excuse that wasn't on your list then.
I do love that movie. But I would still pick Royal Tenenbaums.
And you'd pick that over Rushmore as well.
Yeah. Royal Tenenbaums is my favorite Wes Anderson movie.
Okay.
And very core to me. Like one that I watched so many times that I was like so moved by.
I got to rewatch it. I love it, but I definitely like Rushmore and Bottle Rocket more.
Yeah. Those are great movies.
I love Rushmore.
Yeah. I could rewatch Rushmore. Is there a lake in it? Could we watch it during our lake movies?
No, there's no lake. There's swimming just in the swimming pool.
Yeah, the pool.
That's where Bill Murray's watching his kids and he hates them, his boys. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay, ready. Number 10, The Social Network. Number 9, Spirited Away.
That's a horse movie?
No. You're thinking of
Spirit of Cameroon.
You're thinking of that TV show that the kids used to watch.
Spirit of Cameroon, yeah. Cimarron.
No, it's just called like Spirit.
I think Spirit of Cimarron, yeah.
Okay.
Let's see.
Now this is an animated.
Is there a cartoon called Spirit of Cimarron?
It's just called Spirit.
And it's animated? What's the one on your list?
Okay, Spirited Away is an animated movie. It's a hand-drawn fairy tale of adolescence. Alice in Wonderland of our age. Unforgettable characters keep spilling out of abandoned magical bathhouse. I have heard of this. It's like on a lot of people's lists.
The answer to my question is yes. There is a well-known animated feature called Spirit, Stallion of the Cimarron. Cimarron.
But is that, remember the show they used to watch and there was a really catchy theme song?
That was it. That was Spirit.
I thought this says feature.
Yes, so that was in 2002, and then they made a TV show.
Okay, that makes sense.
Here you go. Follow-ups in the franchise. Spirit Riding Free, 2017 to 2020. Spirit Untamed, 2021.
I remember when we were in Turks and Caicos, the kids were watching Spirit, and that theme song was really in my head.
Running wild, I'm running free.
Yeah, something like that. Okay, number 8 is Get Out.
Okay.
Number 7, Eternal Sunshine.
So it's similar list.
Number 6, No Country for Old Men.
Okay.
Number 5, Moonlight. Number 4, In the Mood for Love. I have not seen it, but I really want to see it.
What is that?
It's set in Hong Kong, and it's like a love story. It was in 2001. It's supposed to be great. I really want to see it. Number 3, There Will Be Blood.
Great. Love it.
Number 2, oh my God.
Sorry. I got it. I'm under control now.
Number 2, Mulholland Drive. Another one I have not seen but would love to see.
Great.
Did you hear me?
Yeah. Mulholland Drive, another one you haven't seen what you'd love to see. I could rewatch that. I love that.
Oh, great. Is there a lake?
Can't remember.
Okay. Number 1, Parasite.
Love it.
Parasite is an incredible movie. I like that at number 1.
That's strong number 1.
Because of this list, I have decided I want to go through a bunch of these and watch ones that I haven't seen that are intriguing to me. So I did watch Zodiac. I had never seen that.
Oh, yeah. That's Fincher, his least known movie. And Downey, Robert Downey.
Downey, Jake G.
JG's.
JG. Yeah, it was great. Oh, Mark Ruffalo.
Oh, yeah.
Anthony Edwards, ER, ding, ding, ding,
Oh, my
AIDS.
God. Yeah, AIDS.
I know. I was confused because for some reason in my head, when I started the movie, I thought JG was the villain. Like, I was like, oh, that's that movie where Jake Gyllenhaal is the killer.
Jagers.
So I'm watching it. Yeah, Jagers. And I'm watching it. And for so long, I'm like, wow, he ends up being the killer? That's so wild. And then, of course, I was wrong.
He wasn't, no. He was just he was a journalist, right?
He was a cartoonist, actually.
Oh, yes.
And then he got obsessed with the case.
That can happen to people. They get bit by a case. It's probably going to happen to me before I'm dead. I'm going to get obsessed with a case and solve it.
What case are you going to try to solve? A murder or?
Probably like a missing motorcycle.
Yeah, that sounds right.
The Lord's work.
Yeah, so.
I wanted to talk to you about shopping before we parted today.
All right, let's hear it.
Because obviously, I can't relate at all to you with the shopping.
Yeah.
But because I have a garage here and I don't have anything I had in LA, I've been going to Lowe's and Home Depot.
Mm-hmm.
And I went with Aaron. Well, I went on that great trip with the girls, I think I told you. And I gave them half the list. And they were on fire. I couldn't believe how good they were. Then I went back with Aaron day one when he was here. And I had to get a lot of stuff.
Right.
Monica, trash cans, brooms, power washer, all this stuff.
Sure.
And I got to tell you, it was so fun. You're right. It was so fun. When it's a place like Home Depot and I like every aisle has something I know I need, but I just need to go look because I've forgotten. I get it. And Aaron and I, when we left, I was like, that's among the most fun times I've ever had with you. And he's like, I completely agree. I would love to come back and just do 3 more hours of shopping. And we decided we should have a business where people just give us their list at Home Depot or Lowe's and we go get it because we like so much shopping there.
That's called Instacart.
Mm-hmm. We did figure that out as well afterwards. But ours will be different.
Or DoorDash.
Ours will be, we don't charge you, but it'll probably be less convenient.
Why will it be less convenient?
Because we don't have an app and all the sophisticated stuff. So you'll have to write your list out and then probably take a picture of it.
Oh, I think you can just sign up for Instacart like you did for the other ride.
Not personalized.
Food delivery.
Not personalized enough for me. I want to have a relationship with the people I shop for.
Cool.
And I play at this game with the cashier each time I say, what's the over-under on this order? Because they're good at it. They should be good at it. They ring up all day long. And then they guess, and then I make Aaron guess, and the girls guess, and I guess, and we all play by Price is Right rules, which is even if someone's $1 over, they lost.
Ugh.
Yeah.
Those rules are tricky.
The bill could be $1,500. Someone could have guessed it's $600, and someone guessed $1,501, and $600 wins. Those are the rules.
That's so ridiculous.
It's pretty good rules, though, for...
It's
Price
horrible
is Right.
rules. This happened during cornhole too. Cornhole's the same thing. If you get over 21, you go back to 11.
Ooh, that's harsh.
That happened a lot during Palm Springs. Not to me, because I never really got over 21, but to a lot of other people, and I was
Charlie
upset on
and
their
Ryan.
behalf. Yeah, and Jess and Matt.
Okay.
And Anna. Anna's really good at
everyone but you.
I was most improved.
Do you have a hankering for it? Like, are you going to want to play in Nashville? Like, do you crave it now?
I love cornhole. I've always loved it. Oh my God, this is just like when, did I already tell this story? I was shopping, ding, 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 with Jess, and we were at a vintage store, and I got a sweatshirt that says Bud Light on it.
Mm-hmm.
And it's so cute. And I was checking out, and Jess said in front of the lady who was ringing me up, he said, "You've never even drank a Bud Light in your life."
He outed you.
It's not an out. That's a lie. I got so mad. He made me look like an idiot in front of this lady.
Okay.
And I was like, you didn't know me in college. How dare you?
Yeah, where do you get off? Where do you get the nerve?
Where exactly? And I used to drink a ton of Bud Light.
How much? 6 at a time?
Well, we used to play all kinds of games. Waterfall, King's Pin or something. I forget what that's called. And also that thing
Beer
where you drink
pong?
beer pong a ton, flip cup, all the games,
I never played
drank
these drinking
so much
games.
of it.
I never got them. It's like I didn't need someone to tell me to drink more.
No, it's just fun.
It's just
Games are
fun.
fun, Dax.
Yeah, I should play more drinking games.
Games are so fun. But anyway, so cornhole is like that. Like I just sensed from you that you were like, oh, you're just learning how to play. Interesting. And I used to play. I was a different girl
in
Athens.
College.
Oh yeah.
I would have liked to meet that version. That'd be fun.
You still can. Charlie wants to go to a Georgia game, and I'm going to arrange it. I want us all to go.
I would love that. That would be so fun. But also, I'd like to time travel and meet you in Athens and see this version.
Yeah.
The carefree college kid who was planning her next booty bump.
Oh, God. Carefree is
that
interesting.
wasn't in the mix, carefree.
I wasn't carefree. I actually had,
More cares.
really bad anxiety, but I had fun.
Yeah. You drank through it.
I sure did.
Yeah. What a gift.
So when are you going to go shopping again? Today?
It's possible. I did have a day here. Did I already bore you with it where I did the most amount of things I've ever done in a day?
No.
I couldn't believe this day. I woke up, I was meditating at 5:30. Did I tell you I put out 32 pallets on the marshy ground leading to the boat deck because it was mud. By the time you got to the boat, you were covered in mud. And then coming back, you'd get covered in mud. So I took 32 pallets from behind Lowe's and Home Depot.
Wow.
And I laid them all out and I've made a boardwalk. And then
Oh, nice.
I didn't want that to stick out so much. So then I ordered grass paint that you pump up in a big plastic jug and spray.
Okay.
So I spray painted 32 pallets green to match the grass. I took the trash to the dumpster. I went to Home Depot. I dropped my car off to get tires. I mopped my entire barn, which I don't think you can imagine what a big project that is, mopping that entire barn. But I mopped the whole thing in the gym. Then I got salt licks and feeders for the deer. I dropped my Roadmaster off to get new mufflers at Midas. And this is the craziest one. At 3:40 p.m., I'd already had this day where I'd done all this stuff since 5:30. At 3:40 p.m., I said to Kristen, I'm 35 minutes away from the trailer place. They close at 5. And then another 25 minutes past there is the golf cart place. And I'm leaving my house at 3:40 in Mount Juliet. I left thinking I give this a 40% chance I succeed at this. I walked into the trailer place and I said, hi, do you want to set a world record for fastest trailer sold? And she goes, yeah, let's do it. I was driving out of the parking lot with a new flatbed trailer within 10 minutes with the title signed.
Wow.
Made it to the golf cart place, bought a golf cart, had it loaded on the trailer, was pulling out of the golf cart place 12 minutes to 5 p.m.
Wow.
I'm telling you, I felt like a freaking hero, Monica. What a day.
That's a lot. That's a lot.
I think
That's
just
awesome.
mopping the barn would have been enough for a victorious day for me. But then I add in
Sure.
all that other stuff I just bored you with. I mean, spray painting
You love a
32
tally.
palette. I do. I love a to-do list. I had all these things written and I just kept going, shit, it's time to pull out that to-do list and tackle something else.
Yeah. You love a list.
I do. And I feel as accomplished as if I work, you know?
Right.
That kind of list feels like filming all day or something. I feel very accomplished.
Yeah. Yeah. Nice.
Yeah. Do you think I'll run out of stuff to do?
No.
Yeah, because I have these
Because you
dumb
can always
cars.
add stuff. You can add like swam for 10 minutes. Like you can always add stuff that's actually just regs.
And how do you feel about that? So I ethically have a dilemma. So some of those items were added after I did them to my list. Do you do that? You have a list and then you pick up some stray things and then you add it to the list to feel proud of yourself. You do it. Okay. It feels a little grimy when I do it, but I do it.
I actually don't do lists like that unless it's truly like I need to keep track of what I'm going to have to do tomorrow. When I did make lists, I would add stuff like that. And then I was like, I don't like any of this. All I'm doing is trying to prove to myself that I've like
that you were
done
productive.
stuff.
Yeah.
Yes. And that started to feel silly. So I don't really list anymore. But yes, so if you're a list guy or a list girl, you're adding stuff last minute.
Yeah.
You're adding stuff post accomplishment.
Yeah, you want to look at that list at the end of the day and go, my God, you really did it.
And then you want to read it on a podcast.
And then you want to read it out loud to as many people who will listen.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. So I want you to be impressed with my industriousness.
Of course.
So you'll like me.
Because that's what I care about.
That's right. And how good of a driver I am.
Yep. All right. Should we do some facts?
Let's.
This is for Bridget. Bridget and MLMs.
Oh my God, I loved this one.
Yeah, me too. So informative, so interesting.
I mean, the fact that some of those stats that we learned, like that 99% of people lose money. The notion, I mean, I think I said it in the interview, but anything where 99% of the time you're going to lose, no one does.
I know. Okay, the strange angel JPL guy is Jack Parsons.
Yeah, Jack Parsons. He's a maniac.
Yep. He co-founded the Jet Propulsion Laboratory and was deeply involved in cult practices.
Yes.
Okay, also, Bridget worked at Vogue, and there was big news. I asked her if she reported to Anna. Anna Wintour is stepping down as editor-in-chief of Vogue. It's a huge deal in the fashion world.
Ooh. Yeah, how do you feel about it? How are you taking that news? Can't be great.
It's hard to take in. It's just the end of an era.
Sure.
Now, I looked up spending by gender. I just confirmed that women spend more than men, which they do tend to.
I think they say that they are responsible for like 80% of the domestic purchasing. Like they're who advertisers are advertising to.
Women tend to spend more than men, particularly in terms of total consumer spending and influencing purchasing decisions. While men may spend more per transaction, women's overall spending and influence on purchases are higher. Women are estimated to control or influence 85% of consumer spending.
Oh, even higher than I just guessed. That so holds true because I just, I don't have anything in Nashville that I need, i.e. a workbench, powered screw guns, trash bags, mops. So I went to Home Depot in Hermitage with the girls, and I had the craziest list, and I deployed them each with their own shopping cart to go grab stuff as I was grabbing stuff. And yeah, so I never go to a store, but when I go to a store, buckle the fuck up,
Yeah, you're really going for it.
I really spent a couple bucks over at Home Depot.
Well, also because you don't like shopping, so you kind of have to get it all out of the way.
I want to go one time to
in
Home
one swoop.
Depot for the rest of my life, which I already am home now, and I forgot things.
Whereas I like to just go, not Home Depot, but I like to just pop in, not even get anything.
My dad was like you. And in fact, when I was at Home Depot with the girls, I said, is this so annoying? And they're like, no, this is super fun. And I'm like, oh my God, my dad would want to go to Ace Hardware on Sundays. And I'd walk with him as he stared at every fucking product. I'm like, why are we in paint aisle? You're not intending on painting anything. He just wanted to see every product in the store, even if he's just going to get screws or something. And it was maddening.
Of course. What if he sees something he might want or get an inspiration?
He did. This does remind me of I don't know why. This is one of the most distinct memories I have of my father. I know I've told you this before, but we went to AMP grocery store. And I had to be we had a dog. So we only had a dog for a couple of years when I was maybe 9 or something. And we go into AMP, we get all the groceries. And then we're on our way out and they've stacked all the dog food in like the breezeway. You know, in Michigan, there's always these buffers. You walk in one door because of the cold and then there's another. And then this breezeway, my dad like threw a bag of dog food on the cart. I don't even know if I clocked it so much, but we get all the way to the car and my dad goes, you know what? When you steal things, things get stolen from you. What goes around comes around. And he walked all the way back in the store and he paid for the dog food. But he was stealing a bag of dog food with me there for about 2 minutes till we got to the car. But I guess more than I was disappointed that he stole, I was impressed that he stole and then pivoted and was like honest about it.
Yeah, he couldn't really steal.
Yeah. So it was a very like, it's a weird mix of he demonstrated a lot of integrity, even though he had just stolen a bag of dog food in front of me. It's so memorable. Did Ashok ever steal shit
I haven't heard
and
that
then
story.
rethink it?
No, God, no. Listen to me. Immigrants don't have the luxury of stealing.
They're
right. Too scared.
You're right. Everyone already thinks they're stealing.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Everyone's already looking at them with like, hawk eyes.
Did you pay for that? I think that every time I see a non-white with a grocery store, with a grocery cart, I go, did you pay for that?
Did you even pay for that? Or like they think, if they're like Indian, they think like, oh, they don't even know that they're supposed to pay. Like they think like they live in a like third world country and they don't
must think all
understand
this stuff
paying
is for
in America.
Free. Yeah, because America is so much bounty.
Yeah.
They just think it's all for free. By the way, do you think non-white sounds implicitly racist? I do.
Non-white?
Yeah, like when you go like there's some non-whites. Doesn't that sound very scary?
To me, yes. Okay. You know my stance on this. I don't like, and a lot of people have no issue with this, but I don't like, taking the color, pluralizing it, and then making it the group of people.
Yeah.
I'm not for that.
Sure.
Like the browns, the whites, the blacks. I'm not for that. So, yeah, non-whites would apply.
Oh, boy.
Anyway.
Oh, my God. I'm so sorry. Bambi literally just sprinted through the backyard with Brombus following her.
Oh.
You can't imagine anything cuter than two little tiny, tiny, tiny deer sprinting.
Oh, my God. Be careful with your cars.
Oh, I know. I was out for a ride on my electric motorcycle and I came into the driveway kind of hot and they were there and they got so spooked and I felt so terrible. I'm like, I got to go so slow in my driveway.
Yeah, that's it. I mean, she was very factual, obviously.
Yeah.
So MLMs, wild.
Don't participate.
Oh, one thing I'm sad that we didn't plan ahead, but I wanted to have a friend on this fact check who has lived a big portion of her life sort of involved in an MLM. Well, not sort of, definitely involved.
I do want to say that this episode makes me nervous because I would hate for anyone involved in one to think that I'm saying they're stupid or anyone involved is stupid because I'm not at all.
No.
I see anyone involved as someone who is industrious and wants to make a living and better their lives. And I admire the gumption and the sense of industriousness. And I just want them to find one that'll work for them. But I don't think anyone is stupid for having been involved with one.
I 100% agree. I just do think the system is quite predatory, especially based on all these facts we heard. And so, but that has nothing to do with the type of person.
Yeah.
But I wanted her on, but we didn't plan it well. So maybe another time.
Okay.
Well, that's it.
I love you.
Love you.
All right. Bye.